Mic's on.
Boom.
Hello.
We are live.
Yay,
Oh.
it's Tuesday. I love Tuesdays, guys.
Do you?
I do.
For reasons other than this?
No.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
is the only
This is
reason.
about it,
Otherwise,
really.
Tuesdays are kind of meh.
I was going to say, where it's like the whole day. Like, I understand, like, Tuesday nights, maybe?
Well,
No.
Tuesday nights are the best.
Okay, yeah.
But, like, yeah, Tuesday, it's been a weird day. But I'm happy now.
Yeah, so
That's
it
good.
elevated the rest of Tuesday for you, is what
It
you're saying.
did,
Okay,
yes.
good.
This brought all of Tuesday up. I did have a
And
very...
the mic stand.
Well, and the mic stand helped because, look, guys, no hands. I can type. I can tweet at you. It's very exciting.
Keep talking. I'm just fixing
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah.
there you
No.
go.
So do you want to hear why my day was weird, Miles? I'm going to jump right in.
Oh, I do kind of want to know.
So I was on Pinterest today because it was my lunch break and certainly not during working hours.
No, of course.
And I found a pair of shoes that I really, really liked. And I tried to click through on Pinterest, and Pinterest said, I'm sorry, but we flagged that link. It appears to be shady, which is a very regular thing on Pinterest.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. It's a really good place to pick
Why?
up like Chinese malware.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so I attempted to click through, and Pinterest said don't, which Pinterest is not super secure. So if they flagged it, then it's probably pretty bad.
Okay.
So I was unable to locate these shoes, and I did a Google image search, and I really, really wanted the shoes. And finally, I found a clickable, like I found this image on a website with a language that I could not, I couldn't even identify the language. So
Which is always a safe bet.
yeah. So I,
Did you open it in Chrome? Because Chrome would have told you what language it was to try to translate it.
what? No, I guess it wasn't.
Why
It
look
must-
at me? I don't know what
No,
your
it must have been Safari.
your browser is.
Because I do the Gmail, and then there's also the ODU Gmail, and they don't like it when you have them both going at the same time.
No,
so
they probably wouldn't.
no, so I do one in one browser, and then so anyway, it didn't tell me what it was, and I was so distressed that Keith had to figure out that it was a Turkish website.
Mm-hmm.
I decided not to buy the shoes, but I was very depressed.
Don't know why not.
Because I wanted these shoes from this Turkish website.
Now, did the
They're really
translation
cute.
of the website give you any other information regarding the shoes that could help you get to the shoes?
I did not translate it.
Okay, I would suggest doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. I found them on an American website, and I'm not entirely sure that's legit. At least it was
See,
English.
What are
okay,
these
well,
black
no,
market
she-
shoe
she showed-
websites? that I'm just not aware
Listen,
of?
shoes are very serious business.
Okay,
if you find
yeah,
it,
I'm realizing that.
If you but see, here's the question I have. There was a PayPal link on there.
Okay.
Does that make
yeah.
it legit or less legit? I mean, like I feel like if it has a PayPal link, but I don't know if it's like one of those things anybody can grab from a PayPal like page and throw it on their own webpage.
Well, it's a question of like, is it that you can check out with PayPal, which
Yes.
is one thing, or is it just that that you can give them money with PayPal?
It
Because if you can
said
set up a
check out, but I mean, I didn't click it.
So my problem with PayPal though is I hate using PayPal because they had like this huge influx rash of scammers. You know, maybe like 10 years ago, and you all got like fake emails all the time.
yeah.
You're not talking into the mic.
Oh.
You were turning away from the mic. I was trying to
well,
get better
I was
audio.
I was addressing Miles.
Yeah.
So I stopped using PayPal because it felt less secure to me.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that is really a case for it. And for everybody listening who's interested in these really super cute shoes, I'm posting them. Hi, Ezra. Yes, Ezra joined us just in time for the shoe talks.
It's all the important
Ezra,
talk
I'm
here on
about
Popped.
to put these babies right on the feed. There they are, bedazzled.
Well, really, I don't think this story is about shoes at all. I think it's about our sense of online security. And
Yeah.
of course, as you well know, Old Dominion University is very invested in cybersecurity.
They are, yeah. They post a lot of warnings about.
Are you sure it's
phishing
not about her
scams.
her clothes diet? Because I feel like that's part of it too. Well, let's because Miles has not seen this.
No, yes.
Oh, you got to see these shoes.
Yeah,
Look
they.
how
Yeah, I
cute
see.
they are.
I mean.
They're even pink with little bows. They
Yeah.
go- come
So
on.
those are pink suede heels.
Those are shoes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That's how I would describe them.
And I
right?
was saying, I'm so glad that the block heel is back. You know,
Mm.
I'm a short girl, gotta wear some heels, but like those little skinny heels, I'll just fall over and break my ankle, and then Keith has to carry me everywhere.
Did you see Melania's heels today?
I
apparently
did.
that was all the Twitter
I
buzz.
did.
It
I
was.
I mean, okay, granted, it's
Wha-
weird for her to wear heels in a disaster area, but whatever, man, lay off. Who cares? I'm more interested in what they're gonna do to help out those poor people. In
And
Texas.
animals.
And animals. I know it's very sad. Very sad situation. But let's talk about good things. What's new in pop culture? What have you guys been doing in pop culture this week?
I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn that I borrowed from Miles.
Yes.
Ah,
are you, so
Caveman
you're
Robot
now
Wars.
are you now past where I was? Do you think?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm well past where you were. If you'd finished up the what is it? Not The Conjuring. That's a movie. What's the
Reaping?
Was it
No.
The Reaping? I don't know. That big
The
old
thing.
thing. Yeah.
The sort of coming of age ritual.
You're right.
Yes.
I did get past that. I've spent more time in just exploring and just trying to find new animals to kill and
Right.
attacking with.
So have you left the original area?
I'm about to. I'm kind of getting into where I am in the story is I'm leaving the Nora tribe and trying to get to the Karja and getting past all the corrupted like animals and stuff.
So I think you're probably about where I was.
Really? Okay. So, I
So
thought
I
you
got
stopped
through-
at the end of that.
No. So I got through all of the basically tutorial missions.
Okay.
Because like any
Right.
open world game, basically it gets you invested in the story,
Mhm.
and then it teaches you how it's going to function.
Right.
So you have to start going around, doing the little missions,
Mhm.
pulling things here or there, going back to where you were as a kid, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I did all that.
Mhm.
But then it was like the world was about to open up to me.
Yeah.
And I finished like a boss. It was at the gates. Have you done that yet?
Yeah. I've done two. Okay. Now, were you on the inside of the gate or the outside of the gate?
I was on the inside of the gate.
Okay. Now, there's one later on that I've gotten to where I was outside of the gate trying to stop some creatures trying to get in.
Okay, yeah. So,
So
you
that
got
was,
that,
that was
bit,
the
yeah.
day tower or whatever. Yeah. You know, honestly, I've been enjoying the game. I'm still going to play it through, to finish it up and finish the storyline. Not as impressed as I thought I would be, despite all and I think it got hyped up.
Yeah.
And visually it looks great.
Yeah.
But storyline wise, okay, there's some futuristic animals. I'm a tribal person. Gameplay is no different than any other game I've played. It's a similar to a Fallout or a Far Cry. That is, as far as the gameplay goes, so it's
And you
nothing
play a
unique.
lot of those games.
Yeah,
Like,
and
that's a
I enjoy
genre that's
those
big for
games.
you,
Yeah, yeah, I like the Fallout games are a lot of fun. Like Fallout 4 is on my list, but I haven't been able to borrow a copy yet. And I could probably buy a $20 copy now at this point because that's how cheap it is. But I'm still I'm because I know they did this for Fallout 3 in New Vegas. Just give me the Ultimate Edition with all the DLC. I'll pay full price for that. Just let me have that so I can have it all. I'm not gonna. But anyways, I'll probably borrow Fallout 4 from somebody.
You know what
and
my
play it.
problem is with Horizon Zero Dawn? It's very lifelike. It's a beautiful game. The faces are not. They don't.
It's
Yeah.
weird.
The faces are
They don't
weird.
sync it up.
It looks like. Oh, this is not an example that you guys would know, but while we started the conversation with shoes, let's just go in all girly. It's like if you do a mud mask.
I
and
know
you
what
can't
that
really
is. I'm not
talk.
like, what are you talking about?
No, just
Weird girl talk.
pretend-
Dumb it down. I
pretend.
don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, no. Okay, so you put this stuff on your skin and it hardens, and you can't really actually express, but you can kind of talk. So you have a very limited mouth movement, and you can enunciate.
I
But-
feel like I'm watching Muppets talk.
It is so. And I
Less
find,
expression.
well, what's weird
there,
is
man.
that I think Alloy is good, like the main characters.
Yeah.
But it's like whatever they're using as a general model for all of the side characters you run into.
Right.
There's a certain deadness to
Yeah,
it.
they're super.
And the way
yeah.
that the
The dialogue's poorly written too. Let's be honest.
and it's I find also the way the framing is done. Like
Yeah.
it kind of takes everybody else out of the frame. There's not much around them. It's very almost soft focusy around
Yeah,
them.
and then it puts that
so you really
whoever is
put
talking.
right on their face,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, yeah, it just doesn't hold up.
No.
It's good.
No, it's it's
Like,
all right.
Don't get me wrong, but yeah, no, that
Like I
was
said,
something that
I'll
stood out
finish
to
it,
me.
but that's it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I played probably the first 5 hours or so,
Yeah.
and then at that point, Zelda came out. I see Zelda's talking about it in the
Yes,
comments, but
Vanessa is talking.
yeah, we
about
got our
the
because we haven't been on in
Switch.
2 weeks.
We haven't. We got a Switch, which you know about.
I did
Because
yes.
we invited Joe for game night, and you were going to bring your Switch, and then about halfway through the day, we were like, "Never mind, we got one."
That
Well,
was
we
what
found
happened.
one. We were surprised.
Yeah.
We went. We were actually going to go grocery shopping, and they were like, "Well, let's just go stop in the GameStop."
No, what
having that
happened-
GameStop next to that grocery store though is dangerous.
Yeah, that's gotten us
It
a couple
is.
times. What happened was I thought I had less money than I had, and I checked my bank balance to buy groceries like a responsible human being, and instead was like, "Oh, I have enough money. Let's go blow it on video games." But
Isn't
we
that how
we
that
had we had the Switch. You were there. We played Overcooked.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that was
a
your suggestion.
riot.
It was
If anybody out there has a Switch, download
or anything. So Overcooked is on PC, PS4,
Okay.
Xbox
Oh,
One.
is it?
Like you
Yeah,
can go.
All right.
Overcooked. What a sleeper.
It's a good
but
co-op
we had
party
so
game.
much fun with that.
Yeah.
And then we played it later. Now it's different. Keith
It's a
and I,
lot different. You need like you need friends. I mean,
yeah,
that's
you
literally
need- yeah. We finished it and we like There are some stages that we were able to do well.
That was my fault. Sorry.
Oh, there's some stages we were able to do with just the 2 of us, but and like we had it down to like a science, and then we got kind of like obsessive and completionist with it, where it's like 3 stars, we need 3 stars. But then there were some where it was just like, no, we need friends. We need like
I did.
Who can we call?
I tried one player just for fun to see, and I'm just like, that's not even like
No,
there's
it's
none of
not
the spirit of the
doable.
game
Yeah.
either. Like the whole game is about
It's more difficult with one player.
It's not even that it's like I actually did fine with one person. It just wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Because it was just like I set
still
one
had
person
fun,
up,
but-
do something, and then I have to go around back, do that. But like
Right.
the whole point to me is the communication, and that's a good couch co-op game.
You mean the yelling frantically
Yes.
to each other? Oh my God, the oven's on fire! Get the extinguisher! No, don't throw the extinguisher away!
And it's one of those things where it's like you don't always communicate why you're doing something in the moment. So like you're on 2 cars that are moving back and forth apart on a highway, and my approach was just I'm just gonna throw stuff on the floor on the other car while we're there.
And that's how you had to get past some of this stuff.
Yeah. But then everyone else like, why is there all this stuff on the floor? And I'm just like, that was the point. That was the plan.
Yeah.
I had a whole thing.
But
planned.
it's dirty. We're playing a video game kitchen.
Like, we are violating so many health codes right now.
Oh, but yeah, so that was good. And then, so I have been playing 2 things. I finished Uncharted 4.
Okay. How was that?
It was good. It was nice sort of see the story come to its logical point of completion. I think that they learned a lot from Last of Us in terms of how to tell a story.
The Last of Us is so great.
And it's not on the same level. It's a bit fluffier. It's by nature that, but there's some good...
Different franchises.
Yeah, but I think there's some good pathos. I didn't find the gameplay too frustrating.
Okay.
I found, frankly, Uncharted 3 was a little bit at times like a lot of bullet sponge enemies. I felt this was a bit more balanced that way.
I think I've mentioned this before, but I haven't finished Uncharted
Yeah, I know.
1.
Which, I mean, Uncharted 1 is not a good video game. It's very attractive, and it's decently fun at points, but it's actually kind of a mess.
Yeah. Well, so is Assassin's Creed 1, too.
Yes.
While we're talking about first games in a franchise that have gone on to be done really
I saw
well.
a thread recently on a forum that I visit that was basically that, of like, what are the examples of franchises that have made huge leaps between their first and second games? And I think, obviously, Uncharted is one, Assassin's Creed is another.
Jack and Daxter.
Yeah, it's sort of examples of franchises that start in one place and sort of evolve and go to another in those cases. And so I think those are good examples of that. And then I've been playing a fair amount of Splatoon 2 as well.
Squid Farmer.
So, yes.
That's basically what I'm calling it after that honest trailer.
Yeah, so the thing about Splatoon 2 is, so I've been playing the normal modes, which like there's an online function. It's all, of course, online and focused. There's a single-player mode that's fine, but I've mainly been playing the co-op multiplayer mode called Salmon Run. And so Salmon Run is basically equivalent to like a horde mode. Effectively, it's like tower defense. There's these waves of enemies that come at you. You're on like an outpost, and there's 4 of you working together with a set of weapons. The weapons alternate between waves. You have to collect eggs from the bosses and move them back. Very straightforward in a lot of ways, but it's pure chaos. It's incredibly intense, and some grad school friends and I, we've been using Discord. I don't know if you've ever used Discord before.
Sounds familiar.
So Discord is basically like a gamer chat function.
Okay.
So you can create video chat, but also mainly audio chat as a way of sort of communicating. So you can create sort of lobbies for online play. So we've been doing that and playing as a large group, sort of 3 of us at a time, or kind of moving through. And it's been really great to play with them and communicate. And there's always one player. I've only ever done it with 3 people. And then we always have one random. Okay. And I always enjoy the dynamics of how much the random is failing. This is I haven't done a whole lot of online gaming in my life, but I felt like this has been a really great experience in that regard.
I try not to, just because I'm so bad at it. It's compared to the people who spend like hours upon hours of this stuff. Yeah. I think online gaming, I enjoyed the Ghostbusters in the 2009 game. That was pretty fun. Red Dead Redemption had decent online stuff. But yeah, it's...
Well, that's the thing where it's like, in this case, what I like about it is it's not really competitive.
Yeah.
Right? By nature of being cooperative, good. You're fighting against the AI. You're more about trying to work together. I find that's a better dynamic in that regard. And certainly I feel like it's been really diverse in the way it functions.
Yeah. My problem with the gaming is that you had it set up to where your friends are like the voice of God and they just broadcast throughout the living room.
Well, that was just an audio setting.
Weird.
Well, I was playing with a buddy of mine on Destiny back when that was super popular. And I think he still plays. I just couldn't get into Destiny. And I just had it going through the audio system, so it made it super awkward. But are you guys watching anything?
We have to talk about Mario Kart.
Oh, okay. Talk about Mario Kart.
I have to talk about Mario Kart?
If you want to talk about it, yeah.
150cc is
Yes.
a lot easier on Mario Kart
Yes.
the Switch
Really?
than it is
Yes.
on the Wii U.
Why do you think that is?
Because we're not Miles McNutt.
I know. So for all of our fans watching, Miles joins us and then like proceeds to systematically spank us all.
And not even in the fun way.
No.
I mean, I
It's-
don't know.
it's
I
like-
still have fun.
Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know because there was that one round where I beat Miles and I was so excited
That's
for that.
true,
I
it
was like,
was.
"Urgh."
I'm not gonna. I'm a guest, so I don't want to feel like I'm moving through. But it was on Baby Park, so there's an asterisk next to that win. Okay?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I took that win.
Baby Park is chaos. But anyway, yeah, 150cc is a lot easier. It does have the thing where you can't go careening off the side.
That's
a million
helpful.
Times. That is very helpful.
I still don't turn it on though.
and
I turn it on.
yeah, no, do it. The game gives it to you. The other thing too is like the multiple weapons could help.
Multiple
Yeah.
weapons
Maybe.
helps.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. So yesterday, so we're on completionist task 3 stars 150cc.
Yeah.
And I, of course, am just playing along for fun and decide that I'm going to let the internet advise me as to my combos.
Oh, interesting.
Dumbest
Yeah, it was
thing ever.
it was interesting. I think I finally hit my stride there with Shemp Peach,
Rosalina.
Rosalina.
Yeah.
But there at the end, she had her little like what was it? Her little ATV.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the internet recommends really heavy players, and they're because they have the speed, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is that they don't have acceleration, and at 150cc,
You get hit too often.
you get hit so often, and I'm thinking, why
Yeah.
are these people like? They must get ahead and stay ahead.
Well, and that's the thing where it's like I often will stick to acceleration builds, despite the fact that I very
That's what I learned
rarely
from you.
necessarily
Yeah.
need it, right? Because I just feel like you never know in a 150cc situation. Certainly, when you go up the mirror and 200, it gets that much more intense.
Yeah.
You have no control. Like Mario Kart is not a game of control. You cannot control what you're doing,
no.
and so you need to kind of find ways to bounce back from that.
Right.
And so
I've been
found
using
that
that,
to be
and that
helpful.
is the one benefit of playing with you, besides losing and not liking that, is that I actually learn a lot of
We do
good
learn
tips
a
and
lot.
tricks, and
Yeah.
like it's
Now
become.
we carry around green shells like they're
Yeah.
gold.
And we hold them
Yeah.
behind us.
Yes.
And she's
These
like,
are all
"Oh,
the
sorry, I
things-
got a red shell coming your way." I was like, "Nope, just milesed you. Sorry."
Yeah, we do. We miles each other now.
I will say you are also apparently in good company because I was playing Mario Kart online with a couple of my grad school friends, and apparently one of them still talks about the one race where he beat me. So
See, it's a feat. It's
It
not
is.
just
No,
us.
It's our karting Everest.
Well, I've always thought about that, where it's like Mario Kart is a game where it's like, okay, I've played all of them, and that's a point of advantage, right? I played the one on 3DS and DS and all of this, but I'm like, I don't necessarily know how I got good at Mario Kart. Like, what was it? Like, what game did it? Like, what taught me how to compete the game in that way?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer to that question. At this point, it's second nature.
There was a lot of double dash for us.
See, we play. Yeah, I was a beast at Double Dash. I
mean, you're
was.
all right.
I beat the crap out of you more than once.
Occasionally.
No, I beat you all the time because it was my system.
Nah, I don't know if I'm going to go all.
No, it was
the
all the time. He has a short memory when it comes to me kicking his ass constantly
I
in
don't know about
Mario
going
Kart.
that far.
But yes, it was Double
Yeah,
Dash.
how you doing on the Switch and the Wii U now?
Okay, well, I had a 15-year gap in both dating you and playing Mario Kart.
We,
so
the Wii U and the Switch, we have played together. I have not. Neither one of us
well,
have had.
I know, but I'm not, getting drunk and playing 5-hour Mario Kart tournaments anymore.
What are you doing with your life, then?
I don't know. I really don't. It's
I
kind
mean,
of sad, actually.
I feel like if you're not karting, what are you doing? I'm confused by this.
I know. Well, we do kart,
Yes,
but
we kart
it's
plenty.
not like a hey, it's Wednesday, let's play Mario Kart.
It basically took us buying a whole new system to get back into karting again.
2 new systems because we started karting again with the Wii U, and now we're on the Switch. And
Yeah. Did we play a kart on the Wii?
Well, what happened was we got the Wii U. We
Shortly
smashed,
after you got here.
we smashed for a while.
Really?
Smash Brothers, Super Smash Brothers.
Okay, thank you.
Not like a Jersey Shore smashing.
All right, just making sure.
Yeah, Super Smash
This is a
Brothers.
family show.
No, I know it is a family show. We did that for a while, and then we did play some Mario Kart, but then you had your surgery, and that was also when the what was it called? Where you came
Mario
home?
Maker.
Yeah, Mario
Yeah.
Maker came out.
Mario Maker was fun.
And we had a lot of fun with Mario Maker, and then we figured out that they had those like ones that you could set it and forget it, and they, all you do is like walk forward, and then you get carried through this whole thing,
and you can't touch it, or else it screws the whole system
yeah.
up.
And then so we had a lot of fun with that, and then you got into Mega Man, and that sort of took us off. Oh, and then Lego Dimensions came out.
This is what happens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Sort of naturally, like you move. So it's one of those things where it's like there's still Switch games I have that I haven't really gotten into. Time passes, things move through. On cycles, but I think in a lot of cases it's just a matter of finding that game that sticks with you. And Mario Kart's one. I think Splatoon will be that for a bit, but we game in cycles.
We game in cycles, but it's also the group thing too, because I mean it's nice having, and this is kind of my broken record spiel on this one. Online gaming's all right and stuff for me, but I prefer doing the Overcooked with 4 people in the room, or Mario Kart, or Smash Brothers, and having that competition within the room. Yeah. I mean, I can talk
like
crap
the
to anybody.
One case where he wants other human beings around.
That's true. But I mean, I can talk crap on the internet anytime I want. There's no enjoyment out of that. For some people, there are apparently,
it's much
but
more satisfying to talk crap in person.
Yeah, which is also why, like, for me, like, I've never really been like with Splatoon. I don't mind playing with randoms and doing all of this, but I'm getting way more of an experience of like connecting to people I wouldn't normally see. But I still feel like I'm hanging out with them.
Oh yeah, right? Definitely. Because I mean, online gaming like Red Dead Redemption, it was my buddy who he went into the military and was doing training stuff. I think he was in Pensacola at one point. I think that's when we started playing it. And we didn't have the fancy systems we do now as far as it was the PS3. We just basically put our cell phones on a charger, speakerphone, and played Red Dead Redemption and just did online and held a castle and just blew crap up. It was fun. We did that for hours.
Gaming, bringing people together.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, we talk about that all the time, though, that Nintendo really, they've had a lot of missteps, but one thing they do really well right off the bat is always community stuff. They like, when the Wii first came out and Wii Sports and it was Wii Bowling, that's all everybody did.
Yeah.
Get together and did Wii Bowling.
I mean, that was sort of like, I think I've had this conversation before, but the Wii was big for me because I was an RA in residence at that time. And so I got it, and it was just like, I would have like a group of my residents just hanging out in my room, and my room was not big.
Right.
So there was like, so we'd have to work in cycles. So if my TV was like on a wall, there'd be 2 people sitting on the bed, one person sitting in a chair by the door, and then the person who was actually bowling in the middle or golfing. And then we'd have to rotate in and out of when we needed to be there.
Yeah.
And it's like, we only had one controller to share, but like, it's one of those cases where I felt like that was just like a lot of fun to work through that sort of cycle by cycle. And yeah, that's Nintendo's calling card. It's the thing that separates them.
Yeah,
for sure.
No one else really does it. And the thing with the Switch that I think is almost underrated that we don't think about so much, but the ability to just take it somewhere and have 2 controllers and just be like, hey, do you want to play a little bit of Mario Kart? Okay, here, take this half of a thing that was on the console to begin with, and we can just play quick, have a fun little race.
See, Sarah doesn't like the little controllers.
I don't dislike it. I don't know. It's like a thing. It's like a hand feel thing.
Hand feel.
No,
like mouth feel.
Yeah,
hand
like
feel.
mouth feel, like mouth feel with wine. Like you want a certain, I don't know. I don't like my thumb.
Ergonomics is the word you're looking for, by the way.
That is the word I'm
I
looking
mean,
for.
we
Like
bought the wheels for it.
stretch.
So I mean, and
Yeah, it's better with the wheels.
yeah. But then we had to go buy a pro controller just so she could.
Yeah, I absolutely spent $70 just so I wouldn't have to continue to hold the little Joy-Con.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, like, and
well, why not? I decided I was just gonna blow all my money on a Switch. I might as well go all in.
I think it's one of those instances where I think I get why I don't really want to deal with the half controller either. I never really have, but I do think that there's a great utility to that, where it's like I've heard people talking about how like they have their kid who has it, and he's like, yeah, let's play some Mario Kart, and just kind of pulls up with the controllers and gives it to his father and just kind of starts playing.
Heck yeah, that will be our new plane MO.
Oh yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so, because obviously you can play Overcooked. I don't know if you tried the Snipper Clips demo at all.
Oh, I downloaded
bought
Snipper
it.
Clips. I haven't.
Oh, okay,
used it
you're already
yet.
on it.
Yeah.
So that's also good.
Yeah. Well, and I've got Breath of the Wild that I'll eventually get around to playing when I'm done with Horizon Zero Dawn.
I know.
So.
Vanessa told us her husband beat it, but you said you can beat it in like 20 minutes.
Okay, that's an overstatement. You could I think I don't know what the quickest time at this point is, but you can technically go straight to the final boss the second you finish one main area. So once you finish the initial area, it literally puts on the map destroy Ganon, and you can technically go do that immediately.
Okay.
That would be a bad idea.
I believe it. You're
On
not
many
leveled up at
levels.
all.
'cause you're
Weapons.
missing
Yeah.
and-
So, but weapons you can technically do it. I've seen like people have done it. But realistically, the whole game is about exploration.
Yeah.
So you're going to kill most of your time playing that game just exploring the world.
Same way with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah, and I think even more so because the world is, I think, that much more. It's about traversal. It's about kind of climbing. It's about moving through. So you'll have a lot to find there.
Good. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
All right, you guys want to at
You
least
asked if we'd been watching anything.
Yes.
Yeah. Have we been
I
watching?
started. Well, Bob's Burgers is a pretty regular thing for us. Did check out 4 of the 6 episodes for The Tick. Haven't caught up with the last 2. They're actually doing a split season for that. I thought they were doing like just the 6 episodes was one season and that was it. But no, they split it up, and I was like, all right. They sent the explanation out. They were like, binge watching kills the experience. So let's split it up. Let's build some anticipation. We got 2 overall stories here apparently, so let's throw it that way. I'm okay with that.
Buy that, but yes.
I mean,
I think the logic of splitting it is more for me that it gives you 2 promotional cycles, right? It comes and it goes, and it comes and it goes.
Yeah.
It gives you a chance to remind people it's there. I think the biggest issue with Amazon shows right now is that people don't remember that they exist. They launch.
I kind of forget.
Then you kind of like they just get lost, and so that 10 episodes just sits there. If they do this in 2 sets, it's like, oh, I need to go back and watch more episodes. If you do that more regularly, it can sort of keep you connected.
Well, and it's easier to rewatch it too, because like Daredevil, for example, I had to go back and read what happened in 2 seasons of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and not Iron Fist so much, but those 4 seasons, because we binge watched them in a weekend, and we haven't gone back and rewatched them. So we're like, oh my god, we loved them while we were watching.
Daredevil twice.
Yeah, but that was it. That's the only one I've watched twice, despite wanting to go back. I want to rewatch Westworld. I don't know when, but I want to. I want to go back and see all these things, but I just can't. There isn't enough time right now. So
yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there. I was surprised to hear. Speaking of apps, were we speaking of apps? Well, let's just say we were speaking of apps.
Appetizers.
I was surprised to hear that the new Star Trek, they're releasing it on.
Yep.
They're not releasing it on CBS.
Well, they're launching it on CBS. The pilot is airing on CBS on September 24th.
But
the rest of the
episodes will be on CBS All Access.
Yeah, that's
kind of a risky move.
Here's the thing. So on the one hand, it sounds risky if you're implying that their goal is to have the most people possible watch Star Trek.
But it's like a really expensive show.
Here's the thing.
$8 million per episode.
The important thing to remember about CBS is that more than any other network, they are brilliant about foreign pre-sales and about mitigating risk in these circumstances. Their goal for Star Trek is to drive subscriptions to CBS All Access. That's their ultimate goal, right? With any streaming service, they're not trying to get the most viewers for that program because it doesn't matter. They just need subscribers to get people invested in that capacity. And their hope is that putting the premiere on CBS will bring people in, get them hooked. It's apparently serialized. They want to draw people. But CBS also sold Star Trek Discovery to Netflix in every other territory but the US and Canada.
Those sneaky jerks.
And so, as a result, for the vast majority of the world, this thing will be readily accessible on a platform that most people already have if they stream a lot of
Can I hack my IP address to make the computer think I'm somewhere else?
Always possibly, yes. And there's various ways. Who knows with the VPNs what would work. But the whole point there is that CBS is making a huge amount of money by licensing the show to Netflix and the rest of the world. That's a significant deal, and that's going to be a long-term stable deal. Netflix is not going to suddenly abandon them, right? That's going to be a driver for Netflix and its audience. And so for that reason, my sense is that they don't really need that many people to watch it on CBS All Access for it to be financially stable. And Netflix loses money on every show they make because they're just trying to drive subscriptions.
So much into that.
CBS is happy to do that on a small level for this show, but the global sales mean they're not actually going to lose the kind of money Netflix does.
Fair enough.
And so for that reason, it's frustrating as a viewer to feel like you need to sign up for one more streaming service, another $7, $9 a month, depending on how you want to subscribe to it, to get that show. But that's what they want you to do.
Yeah.
And if you're that desperate to get to it, you'll find it. And if you're that upset about paying for it, you probably were never going to pay for it anyway. And instead, you're probably just going to go find it on the internet where it will exist in various forms.
Yeah, it's a lot tougher these days. They've shut down a lot of the torrents.
So here's
Not that we promote that.
My thinking. I think that with all, like, we're getting a little bit of app fatigue. We have so many.
Yeah, like I would say like platform fatigue, right? In terms of the amount of things we're watching. Like, I'm going to talk about this with my students in the next few weeks. kind of talking about the TV industry and the way it works, because like so much now is like I want to know, okay, like what is their limit? Right? They're the generation that watches everything there, right? They're now, it's very natural to them. Are they someone who's willing to subscribe to Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, throw in a Crunchyroll or throw in something else? Like, do they see that kind of, do they see that kind of appified future where all they're going to like completely like kind of trip out their phone so it does everything they need? Or are they just going to say, I watch Netflix, and if it doesn't come to Netflix, I'm just not going to watch it. And it's not like you're going to run out of things to watch.
You have to let us know what they say, because I'll be curious.
Yeah, I'm curious too. Well, like
Hulu just added CW to the live stream.
They did. It's in the news.
So, I mean, ultimately streaming-wise, like library content, that remains the domain of Netflix and the CW. Their full seasons go up a few weeks after they air.
Right.
With Hulu, though, their live service is now going to have the live CW and the live on demand. So through Hulu, you can watch, if you do the live deal, which admittedly by that point you're almost paying for cable, is you can still get access to shows as they air on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting from like a market standpoint where they said, you know, consumers say we would like cable a lot more if it was a la carte. So we basically, and I don't know if it's us or how it was forced, but basically it is now forced to do a la carte. You know, the content
is doing a la carte
on its way. Yeah, I still can't get Bridezillas anywhere. I just pay for seasons on Amazon and download them.
I'm sure there's enough crappy reality TV.
No, I need Bridezillas.
WeTV loves you so. It's WeTV, right?
Yeah, it's WeTV.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm like the only one, but I also do occasionally watch Toddlers and Tiaras. Shut up. You watch Toddlers and Tiaras. Anyway, the point is...
I have, in fact, watched Toddlers and Tiaras, yes.
Nope.
I know. Keith will hear it, like I'll be upstairs, like folding laundry, and Toddlers and Tiaras is on. And they do put a couple seasons on Hulu. And he'll be like downstairs or like at your house or maybe in North Carolina. And he'll hear me folding laundry and watching Toddlers and Tiaras and be like, are you watching that crap?
There's so many good TV shows. And
That's exactly what he says.
Gotta have some go-go juice.
Listen. Toddlers and Tiaras is like a cultural... For some reason, it's going to matter. I don't know why.
Well, everything is a cultural.
Yes.
That's my argument.
Everything's a cultural something.
Yeah.
I'm just participating in the cultural... You know,
okay,
Sarah on this one.
We'll save the crappy reality talk for the later discussion when we talk about certain shelves and what TV shows we want on.
That's right. Yeah,
so
right.
keep that in mind, Miles. Her and I have talked about it, but keep that in mind for yours.
Shall we
I
do
will.
news?
Yeah.
Yes, let's news it up here.
Let's
see if I got this queued up properly.
All right, news.
Whoa.
Yeah, we got production now. We're just talking over this right now.
I get my news from Publimeter.
That's a free...
Yes, it is.
It's Publimeter. I read it.
Wait for it.
You know I don't speak Spanish. In English, please.
I have the best news. Everyone knows I have the best news.
Is there good news?
Yes, this is the best news.
I feel like it's been 2 weeks, which means there has to be some news.
I know, and most of it is new. Although
the news is supposed to be new. It's in the word.
Yeah, I know, but I did save an old news item from last week because we had not discussed it, and I think we should.
Yes, and yes, Vanessa, it is a cultural train wreck.
Yes, it is. But
no one said it wasn't.
And Ezra, I agree that some. It's
okay. Ezra, Vanessa, Miles.
Hold on, I agree with Ezra, but you know what I throw on in the background? 30 Rock, How I Met Your Mother. Shows that I've already seen, but they're good sitcoms.
I would just like to make a point. So I just had my first day of my TV and Society class today, and one of the things I asked them to introduce themselves with is I asked them to share a show they would not normally admit to watching, but they really love.
Oh, that's so mean of you.
And you know, now what would you normally call that?
Guilty pleasure.
Yes. And I say, we do not call it that in this classroom. And you know why? There should be no guilt and pleasure. That's how it should work.
It's my new motto on my Facebook page now.
Oh, yeah.
You need a motto. It goes in your box. It goes in your box.
His little info
all right. Let's go to news before this degrades quickly.
Okay, well, our first item is that.
Oh, well.
Well, that was poorly planned.
I know. How was I supposed to know we were going to be all jovial and happy? So last week, or a couple weeks ago, Jerry Lewis, the influential comedian and philanthropist, died at 91, which is sad, but he had a good long life. And was incredibly influential in the comedy world and in Hollywood in general, and had a lot of influence in today's comedy.
Yeah, Jim Carrey came out of whatever hole he's hiding in right now these days with his long beard and talked about how much Jerry Lewis influenced him. So I really liked
Jim Carrey crawled out of the hole
I don't know where Jim Carrey's been. So
in the cave.
He produced Showtime's I'm Dying Up Here, among other things.
have you seen that? Is it any good?
I don't have time for that. When are we? I'm like, I've heard it's okay.
What? It's like it's your job or something to watch TV and movies.
He's
It's
in a hole
weird.
doing something. Miles
yeah,
doesn't
that was
know if
just
it's
didn't
any
have
good,
time
though.
for it. No, I
Yeah.
mean, by all accounts, I mean, it seems like it's Showtime seemed to like it okay, but we'll see.
Okay.
But yeah, so
Gotcha.
but no, certainly I think in terms of celebrity deaths, so like he lives a very long life, but I think he also was very present. I would also encourage people to look up his last interview that he did with the Hollywood Reporter.
That was hilarious.
It
I
is
didn't
a
see it. I'll have
video
to look it
interview that is just horrifyingly awkward in a really great way for us because we're not the person doing the interview.
Right.
Right. And so I
Yeah.
kind of wonder though, is he actually that much of a jerk, or was he just screwing with them? Because it was part of Hollywood Reporter's big thing. I mean, this was months ago because they were doing like
It's last year, I
highlights.
think.
Was it last year? That long ago? Jeez, they were doing highlights on all these older comedians, like the legends. You know, Don Rickles, who we also just lost recently, Cloris Leachman, and a few other handfuls. Some that I heard, some that I hadn't. And like the interview with him, like they could only get like 2 small bites out of it, sound bites out of it, because the rest of them was just him being an ass, like a complete ass to them. And it was so bad that I still wonder if he was trolling or if he was just that much of a jerk. Because I have heard he's been a jerk before.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Probably. And at this point, doesn't
That's
really
where we're
matter.
at.
Yeah.
When you're 91, if you're still doing interviews, like, screw you. I'm going to say whatever I want.
Yeah,
What is the consequence?
Yeah, right? What do
He
you
was
Right.
already somewhat of a polarizing figure
yeah,
Yeah, he
with
was.
the telethon and everything.
Yeah.
And his piano playing,
All sorts of
marrying
things.
his cousin. No,
That's
oh my
that.
God. seriously. Different Jerry Lewis.
Matt's not here. Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, I know.
Is that Matt's bit?
No, it's usually Sarah's.
No, that's usually my bit where I just.
Sarah's new bit's not talking into the microphone as much now that she's got a stand.
It's right here.
I know it's right there.
Okay. All right.
okay.
We got
Can
it.
you hear me, people? Just thumbs up if you can hear me. Just throw.
I'm just trying to get. I'm trying to get you
Look at
levels
you
just
trying to get some
on par with
engagement.
us.
I know. Well, I'm
No,
engaging.
Ezra
I'm
and Vanessa are engaging with
I'm an
Yeah.
us.
engaging
So
person. Okay, so next news item. Are we ready?
we are ready.
We are ready.
All right. They are doing a clowns only viewing of Stephen King's It in a couple weeks. I think the 8th or the 9th.
Yeah, the Alamo
Yeah,
Draft
it
House.
comes
at
out
Alamo Draft House in Texas.
next Friday.
Yeah, and my only comment is, why God, why?
So here's the thing. This is sort of a general thing. So I don't do scary movies.
I mean,
At all.
Nope.
Like I can't do horror. It just does not make me comfortable. But I've seen the trailer for this movie multiple times, and it doesn't freak me out as much as it should.
Really?
And it's weird because I guess I don't have a clown phobia.
Neither
And
do
like
I.
get that it's like I get people do, and I'm not belittling them. I have the things that I'm afraid of fine. But like watching this, I'm just sort of like, okay, but I guess maybe I'm too aware of the premise of the thing.
I
Like
think
scary clowns are like a cliche in my brain.
I think horror movies in general have become a cliche. It's tough to get a scare out of us now. And I don't know if it's because all these horror tropes have been done, or if we're just that desensitized, or what. It's just I don't get scared
It's just-
anymore.
I found it was weird to me that I had such a nonplussed, like it sounded kind of a blasé reaction to that trailer. But it's going to be a huge hit.
Yeah.
Like prepare right now that like people in your life
They're
who don't
forecasting
normally
it pretty
see
big.
horror movies will probably end up seeing this movie. It's currently forecast between $50 and $60 million opening weekend, which is unheard of for early September, yet alone for horror in those contexts.
Yeah, Vanessa's agreeing with you, Sarah.
Well,
And-
that's because it's a
and,
horrifying.
and
idea.
Ezra's right. The
Yeah.
Alamo Draft House does a lot of this unique kind of.
Have you ever been to an
promotional event.
Alamo at all? So there's one in
There's in DC, right?
I think so, but I went to the one in Brooklyn
Okay.
when I was in New York in December. And they're lovely theaters, great sort of like memorabilia sections. They deliver food to your seat.
Yeah, the Cinema Cafe. I met with them for a thing that they were doing, and they sort of played with that model, and that model inspired them for the Cinema Cafes.
Oh,
around here.
100%. And certainly I think Alamo just sort of has a bit more of a reputation for it.
Yeah.
For sure,
In those
yeah.
contexts, it's a big part of it. But no, I really enjoyed my time at that theater. And yeah, I think sort of the idea of doing screenings for groups of people, it's really just about sort of providing, in many ways, a reason to go to the theater and just sort of be a part of that. Because oftentimes, like Faith, you go to the theater and you deal with people talking or chattering loudly or any number of things. And like you kind of, if you want that to be a positive experience, you want it to be distinctive, right?
Right.
Why am I going to
Oh,
the
yeah.
theater instead of doing something else? And I think these kind of special screenings do a lot in regards to that.
Oh, for sure.
Provides a lot of value.
I think I started hearing about them because they were doing a bunch of Evil Dead, Army of Darkness stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely their bread and butter to do these, not eclectic or even eccentric, just focused. There we go, focused.
Here's a question:
screenings.
Are they gonna do a Brony
For the My Little
screening
Pony
for the
movie?
My Little Pony
It
movie?
wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, I would hope.
They would kind of have to, right?
Yes, even though bronies are no longer the quite news item they are, I'm going to talk about them every semester because I find them fascinating.
They are fascinating.
All right.
They're
Sorry, Vanessa. There you go.
Have you seen the trailer for the documentary?
No.
You should. Well, first, there's a documentary you should watch.
Bronies and juggalos have like a very distinct, like, oh my God. For a while it was LARPers, but then LARPers, there's a lot of documentaries on LARPers, so I feel like I was able to explore the LARPing world.
Oh, you felt like you got your full fill.
Well, I mean,
She was informed properly about them through documentaries.
there was Monster Camp is probably one of my top 5 documentaries of all time. I love Monster Camp. And there's a couple like LARPer.
There's also the end of the film Role Models,
Yes.
which is all about LARPing.
Yeah, role
which
models.
helped kind of like mainstream.
Yeah. So, and I knew nothing about it. And then I saw Monster Camp and it was actually a date. I went on a date to see Monster Camp. It was a weird date. But I was in Atlanta and I remember like seeing the movie and thinking there used to be guys outside of my apartment on ODU's campus, like hitting each other with like wrapping paper tubes.
Yeah.
And they were LARPing and I had no idea what they were doing. And I was like, there were a lot of weird realizations after I left college of things that I had witnessed in college. And most of them are PG-13. But like I saw cricket being played and I realized that this is what a group of students used to play on Coffin Mall, but they used a chair instead of a wicket because where are they going to get a wicket in America?
Correct.
So
you don't need an actual wicket.
Yeah,
to
you don't need
do
a wicket.
No.
They were using a chair. I was in Australia and I see people playing cricket and I'm like, it's chair ball. And they all thought I was the dumbest American they've ever met because I'm calling cricket chair ball.
I mean, you weren't wrong.
It is a deeply global sport played by millions.
Hugely yes, everybody plays chair ball except for Americans, which is why here it's chair ball. That's a weird aside. Anyway, yes, bronies and juggalos. Let's go on to our next news item. That took a weird turn.
Did it though?
I mean, it seems
I
pretty.
think that went to a logical place to me.
Anything that lands on bronies and juggalos is weird. Okay, are we ready for the next news
What's
item?
the next one?
Fox is doing a 2-hour murder mystery special on Biggie's murder, which I guess makes me feel it's in the vein of the success that the OJ shows have had.
Yeah.
It is being hosted by Soledad O'Brien and Ice-T, and it genuinely took me a good 5 minutes before I realized that it was just going to be Ice-T and not Ice-T playing Ice-T. As he always does, because look at him.
I legitimately actually don't know what his SVU character's name is.
I just assume it's Ice-T
it's
as Ice-T.
It's Vin Tutuola. I seriously binged probably 7 hours of SVU the other day. Like I was home, I took a sick day and literally stayed on the couch and watched like 7 consecutive hours of SVU.
Oh, I respect
So yeah,
that.
it's Vin Tutuola.
A couple of students brought it up today as something they had watched recently.
Yes, Ezra, Biggie's dead. Sorry, spoiler.
Oh,
alert.
spoilers.
alert.
Sorry,
Spoiler alert for
Ezra.
Well,
yeah.
I think there's also a combination of two things. Like some of it's the OJ talk, but I think the real heart of it is just sort of true crime in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Serial, the podcast,
Informative
sort of movement.
murder porn. That's
It
what
is.
South Park calls it.
And so I feel like there's sort of this interest in that in general. And so if
Yeah.
you can kind of tie that to the general
So,
fandom.
so what would you call it again? What was the name?
True crime.
True crime. Okay, I was using it more as like historical docudramas or documentaries kind of thing because like the OJ thing went 2 different ways. We had
Yeah.
Yeah.
the David Schwimmer, Cuba Gooding Jr. one, and then we had the ESPN one. I never got around to the ESPN.
Well, for the
one.
record, okay, I just
I
finished
watched the
it.
first half of the ESPN one.
Okay, so Made in America, I just haven't gotten to because it's long, and because I know it's very good. But for the record, People versus O.J. Simpson is a Sarah Paulson.
Yeah, that
Joint.
got you there.
It is not
Fair point.
a Cuba Gooding Jr. David Schwimmer, although both of those people are in it and good.
Yeah.
We need to acknowledge.
I think let's. We,
Sarah
I think we can. All,
Paulson.
I think we can all
Miles
acknowledge
got
the
it.
fact that I didn't use John Travolta.
Yes, correct. You have
Despite
made the
how
proper
good
choice.
he was.
Although, yeah, he was.
He was really good.
Yes,
in
no,
it.
good.
he was fine.
And he wasn't dressed in drag. It was weird.
He was wearing a lot of makeup though.
God, was he ever?
I think that was part
But
of the
that
point.
was the-
Yeah, so no, I think that certainly is the case. But I think the true crime genre like I think sort of as Ezra points, different variations of this. You have the fictional true crime, you have the podcasts that are more real stories.
Right.
You have the like ID discovery stuff.
Yeah.
Right? That's a little bit sort of trashier in its kind of focus. This is definitely I'm
Kentucky
curious.
Fried Murder.
I'm very curious to see like where this lands tone wise.
We're
Because
gonna-
it's sort of like there's a way if this is too serious, if it's too like it also raises that whole Geraldo problem, as I like to call it, when he
Geraldo
opened
problem.
Al Capone's vault live. Have you heard this story?
No.
and there was nothing in it.
There was nothing in it.
Yeah,
And
it
so-
built all hyped up and
So
everything.
you build all this hype for a live event, and yet they did it with Jean-Benet Ramsey.
Oh my God.
CBS recently
I
just
just
did a whole...
understood a joke from Titanic because you just explained that to me. Remember when he opens the safe and the one guy's like, Geraldo never recovered? I literally never understood that joke until just now. Oh my God.
It's going to transport a moment.
The more you learn, the more you know.
Feel like,
Put it up. The more you know.
I feel like I
Really need to
got
get that
the
logo,
last
just throw it up.
star from Titanic. Like, I feel like I completed that movie now. I mean, I didn't realize I hadn't. Yes, I'm done. I'm done with Titanic. I had no idea that it happened to Geraldo, but now it all makes sense.
But it's like, because realistically, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I don't think they're going to solve Biggie's murder live on Fox.
I really
Nah, I don't think so either.
In the same way, like CBS did a whole thing about Jean-Benet Ramsey's
Well,
abduction.
and they've got a new one on that too, because don't they have like a documentary or something about the people auditioning to play
yeah,
Jean-Benet
I watched
Ramsey
it.
or
That
something?
was
That's
actually
not. I'm uncomfortable with that in many levels.
it was
that's
good
just-
though. Did you watch it?
No,
It was good.
I'll
I
be
mean, it
honest
was
with
weird.
you. I'll be honest with you. Something about Jean-Benet Ramsey. I just remember like that to me was like the tabloid story. I saw the most of it in
Yeah.
supermarket checkout
So,
lines as a
but
kid.
so she's Katy Perry though, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
Yeah. I mean,
we all know
according
she's
to that one guy who has a lot of conspiracy theories on YouTube.
no,
I mean,
This
he's
is the one
obvious.
I,
He's obviously Katy Perry.
No, but yeah, it is an uncomfortable story. I think it happened to hit in a news cycle where it flourished, and that is not always the case.
that was the height of tabloids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they did that, and they did another one of those audition-y types, for a Scientology documentary because it's good to bash. I mean, it's trendy to bash on Scientology these days.
I mean, they kind of.
It's also good.
Well,
I know
yeah,
it's trendy, but it's
good.
also good.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
gonna.
good, trendy.
Well,
all
there was
those
another
things.
one too, because there was the Amanda Knox story too.
Yeah, and that was good.
that
Did
was
you
actually
watch
really
that?
good.
No.
That one's
I
worth
don't.
a
Did I
watch.
make you watch that?
No, we watched
well,
it.
I used to work for Court TV,
Yeah.
so this is
That
kind
would
of.
be-
I was genuinely interested in that
No,
one
I
because
mean-
they had her interviewed, they had other people interviewed, and
I'm
Yeah.
bad with documentaries and keeping up, but certainly Netflix. There's so much that they're posting on a regular
Oh, yeah.
basis. It's a big part of their genre output. I did The Keepers
that's on my list.
Oh,
I
I
want to
haven't
in
watch
terms
that
of
one.
true
that.
crime. I would
That's
I
my
would
next.
recommend that. I think that is a
Maybe
really
we'll have to carve out some time to
that
watch
is a good example of one that sort of it has some issues towards the end when it tries to make it too much of a whodunit and instead of an exploration of the corruption at the heart of the story. But no, it's a really interesting investigation of I think predominantly memory
Mhm.
and the corruption of the Catholic Church, which
Well, yeah,
Yeah, there was that other movie we watched recently about that, the one with Mark Ruffalo.
Spotlight,
yeah.
Yes.
the Oscar-winning film.
yeah,
in fact.
that one too.
Spotlight is a good
Um,
movie.
You know what? I blame all this true crime stuff on Making a Murderer.
It's been around.
So
I know it has
yeah,
been,
so Serial
but-
predates Making a Murderer, but I think Making a Murderer caught on of just the accessibility of it, and also the notion that people could get invested in the case, which was it's still a living entity.
Right.
And
Well,
I think
the Brendan guy got.
yeah, he did.
I do kind of still want a shirt that says "Free Stephen Avery," maybe.
Yeah, I think my takeaway from that too is like I'm very curious to see what that sequel looks like because they're filming a second Making a Murderer, continuing that story.
Jeez.
And I'm very curious to see what the directors. I spoke to them briefly about it at an award show a couple of years ago. I guess now, last summer.
How was that?
I'm interested.
And
to
I
see
was
it.
just very because like my question for them was just sort of like, okay, guys, like, what is this? Like, what is the second season of a documentary? Like,
Right.
that's not
Yeah.
a thing.
Right.
Like, you're inventing a new form. And
Oh,
their
God.
answer was just like, you know what? We're just gonna get the footage and see what it gives us.
Yeah.
Vanessa said two dreaded words. Casey Anthony. That is why I quit CNN. I'm not. You think I'm
Nothing
exaggerating?
against
I
CNN.
didn't-
You
I
just
didn't-
you quit it because of that
I
case.
worked at CNN for 5 years. It was my dream job. It's all I wanted to do with my life was be a CNN journalist. And then my last role at CNN was a wonderful role, and I loved it. But I worked for Court TV, which had just turned into True TV, and I worked on In Session, which is what used to be Court TV. Now they don't even have that anymore. But Casey Anthony ruined my life, and then I left TV news, and I kind of stuck my foot back in it, but I never really got all the way back in.
You know that one's going to be one of on the list here soon enough.
Oh my gosh, she's such a psycho.
Well, you know what the next one is, because you mentioned the second season of Making a Murderer. The People versus OJ, that was part of the American crime story.
Yep.
And so they're doing more. I mean, I think
They're
we talked
doing
about
Versace next.
and Gotti, I think, is one of them too, wasn't it? Weren't they doing? Hold on, let's see here.
I will say, Gotti,
So-
that is a really good Lifetime movie.
They're doing
Yeah.
Katrina, and that
So Katrina is going to be
I think that's season
interesting.
3.
So that's season 3. It was supposed to be season 2. Apparently they changed source material, so they've
Yeah.
completely changed their approach to that one. I don't quite know. That's just it. To me, here they're dealing with actual crimes, as in crimes that were committed. Katrina is no doubt a crime against humanity, but it's a very different type of crime. There's more of a symbolic value to that. Yeah, no, they're going to explore that from a few different levels. I think with Versace, what I'm interested in is I didn't really know anything about this case, but I started reading up on it.
yeah.
And apparently, like, there was a song that Madonna recorded that she recorded the day after it happened. And, like, in some way, her performance was dedicated to him. And so I'm very curious to see, like, how much, like, they go into the sort of, like, it's obviously this huge group of people connected to him.
Yeah.
And, like, the celebrity networks of a famous designer. How does that play out in the series?
Yeah, I'll be curious. I mean, they did really well with the OJ one, so I'll see the other stuff. I mean, I didn't know much about I don't know much about the Versace thing, so I'll probably.
Yeah, no, that's completely new to
that.
me in that case.
I feel like there was a Gotti thing coming up though too. Hold on, let's see here. Like I feel like that was a thing coming up. Let's see, Gotti. Oh, this is gonna just give me existing stuff here. Well, anyways, I feel like they're gonna be doing something on Gotti too. I thought I saw that in the feeds, but anyways,
Probably true.
What else do we have in news over there?
I can't find a gift for Stephen Avery.
I feel like there should be like, what kind of gift are you looking for? Because I feel like
That
there
is a
should be
good
plenty.
question.
Well, I like to tweet with gifts at Pop Show. By
Yes,
the way,
that is very
please
true.
talk to me now that I can. Oh, there he is. Okay, good. There's one.
Okay.
Uh,
Crisis
I know that
averted.
was going to be a
Goodness.
problem. But now that I have a mic stand and I can actually tweet at people, I've been tweeting my little butt off at Pop Show.
Good.
So please join.
And
Join
if
the
you're
conversation
also watching on Facebook through or YouTube as well, through one of our personal pages, facebook.com/popped show.
Yeah, give us a like. We populate it with good content. Okay, plug over. All right, next in news.
Yes.
Hulu adds CW to their offerings, which we touched on a little bit earlier,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess is good because
So in that case, so it's like, what would convince you to get live TV through Hulu?
No, I don't want to do that.
Okay, because in that case, then this doesn't affect.
If there's
you.
if there's no extra, if there's no extra cost, then no. But I mean, there's obviously going to be some sort of extra cost to it. There's nothing I need to see live on CW.
Yeah,
There's nothing I watch live anyway.
but that's the thing, right? They're
Yeah.
very much sort of trying to find people who want live TV but don't want to pay for cable, and giving them a smaller suite of channels.
But by the time you do that, you're back up to the cable cost.
The only thing I feel like I could justify paying to watch live is sporting events. And
Yeah.
I don't watch that many sporting events.
Based on how I may or may not have watched the fight this Saturday, I'll just watch someone live streaming on Facebook.
Well, and see, I think that's the thing where
All
it's
the
for me.
legal
It's like,
things
look,
happen.
I like having it. Like I was watching the U.S. Open last night for the opening night
Yeah.
sort of performances. It was a great match between Sharapova and Halep, and like so, I like having ESPN. I like having access to that.
Thanks, Ezra, for the follow.
But I will say up front that I think there's sort of a limit, fundamentally, from my perspective, to the degree that I'm willing to sort of shell out for that long term
Yeah.
and thinking about that. But they think they need it in order to get people who are on the fence about dropping cable to even consider it. It's $40 a month for both the access to Hulu's library and for live channels.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Do you think that all these apps... So, all right, this is sort of like a geeky social media observation too, but Facebook or Comcast has leaned really, really heavily on promoted tweets lately. A lot. Every time I go on Twitter for anything, there is promoted tweets from Comcast. And at first I thought...
think
Don't
that's
they
'cause
know
you-
where you live?
I was gonna say, do you think that's because you used to live in Georgia and they just
Well, Well, it doesn't
Got
matter.
your
They can
account tagged or
geofence
something?
regardless of where I say I
Yeah.
live or have once
So
lived.
much
So
depth.
no, they're just hitting everybody. I generally think that they are doing the shotgun approach and being
Yeah. Okay.
right. So anyway, I at first was skeptical because all the tweets were about net neutrality, and I thought, well, that's bullshit. Like, I just didn't believe anything they said.
Yep.
And they kept at it. And then one day, I guess I had nothing else to do and saw, and I think I kind of wanted to do that, like, oh, let's watch the crash, you know? So I opened it and I read all the, like, you're full of crap, you know, like tweets. And there were thoughtful and tailored responses to every single one. And so I have managed social media for very large brands. And it is the most depressing thing that you could ever do with your life because you'll just cry all the time and there's nothing you could say or do that's right. Like when I tweeted, I used to do social media for the Weather Channel and I would share the weather and they would complain. If I wasn't sharing their exact specific city and if I did share their exact specific city, people would complain or they would say, this isn't enough information. I want to know about the temperature. And then I would give them the weather and someone would say, well, I can just go outside. Well, go outside and leave me alone. How about that? So
the internet's awful.
So Comcast, though,
fact.
is like, they're obviously paying people to take this abuse and craft these tailored responses. And I'm wondering if maybe they see what I kind of sense as an opportunity for cable to kind of get people back. Or will they
They're
just
panicking about, I think they're to a certain degree, they're realizing that they need to do everything in their power to keep people that they have.
They realize they can't treat us like crap anymore.
Yeah. And that's certainly been their MO. They've had monopolies, and all of a
Mm-hmm.
sudden there are other options emerging for people's time and entertainment, and people aren't looking into cable the same way.
Yeah.
So, like, I asked my new media class yesterday, I was just like, say someone had talked about using Netflix, I'm like, I'm always curious. It's like, how many of you have cable? And, like, I think 4 or 5 hands went up, and a couple were like, yeah, at my parents' place, etc.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who has Netflix? And it was like 90% of the class.
Have you asked them who actually have antennas on their house?
No.
You should ask them that, and they're like, see if
Oh
they even
my
know
God.
what it is.
Yeah, no, there was
like dead serious.
Yeah.
There
We'll
was an
figure it- yeah,
actual
we'll see.
serious article that I thought had to be The Onion or
Yes.
something, where they were like, "Oh my God, kids are super
Discovering
fat.
this
They
free
can
way to get
free
TV."
TV," and it's like, really?
Like they don't believe it.
Well,
Yeah.
okay,
and that's
but
the thing.
How is this happening?
to their credit, digital antennas were not a thing when we were kids.
Okay, yeah,
so
they
it
are
was
much
not-
better now than
they're
they
much
were.
better.
They are
now.
much better, but antennas were still around as kids.
Yes.
Yeah, but they were crappy.
Not for them.
Maybe not. Maybe
That's the thing.
maybe cable was just that cheap and accessible.
I mean, I used
We
bunny
didn't-
ears in college because
I
I
used-
was too cheap to pay for cable. I got 2 channels.
Yeah, no. See, we actually had cable in the dorms just fine, but like other than that, we had just antenna.
Yeah, Ezra makes a really good point. If people keep cutting cable and keeping internet, they'll just charge more for the internet.
Yep. Oh no, yeah.
I
We're
mean,
not
well,
going to
yeah,
get
they're-
out from under them.
They're totally gonna do that.
We think we will,
Yeah.
but we
No,
won't.
we
So that's
they own us.
the nature of that.
So moving on, Dump Month was really dumpy, and box office numbers set record lows.
They did. Last week
Second-
was a complete disaster, and this
Yeah.
weekend is not going to be any better, by the way,
No.
because there's no new major releases.
Yeah.
There's the Close Encounters of the Third Kind re-release,
Yeah,
which I
saw
do like that movie, but yeah, like there's no major release, so it's not going to get any better. It'll probably be the lowest month since. I mean, last weekend was the lowest month since the week after 9/11.
9/11, yeah, I saw
Which is a
that.
particularly dark stat. But no, I mean, like August is always bad. But
Yeah.
honestly, I think just a combination of a lack of big releases, no big August release. Suicide Squad released last August, which meant it was still making money throughout the month.
Right.
There was no tentpole put in. I'm frankly surprised that they hadn't released. They could have pushed it up into that slot and probably made a lot of money, but it's going to make money where it is. So
Yeah, based on what I've seen on the websites, Coco by Pixar is the next big thing. I don't even know when that's going to be released.
that's
so it's-
Thanksgiving.
See, people seem to be talking about that right now, like on the websites
just-
and feeds I check.
They
but-
just did there was like a visit at Pixar where they did a bunch
is that
of
what it-
interviews
okay.
and things, which is why we would have seen that the embargo came up on
Gotcha.
that.
Okay.
But there's a bunch of movies, honestly, in September and October. The new Kingsman sequel is coming out.
Oh, that's right.
There's
Which actually makes me kind of excited to see that because I haven't seen the first one. I need to see the
you
first one.
should. Blade Runner 2046.
49.
Eh.
Whatever. There's a number involved. But no, so that there's a bunch of sort of other tentpole like films. More
Did you
than
see
usual.
Blade Runner
Thor.
2049? Yeah, but see, that's getting
That's
into
There's a
November.
prequel with
Yeah.
Leto, correct?
Yep,
Yeah.
they released a prequel similar to the Alien Covenant. But
Yeah.
honestly, the Alien Covenant prequel is better than the Alien Covenant movie, but that's another story.
Yeah.
All right, what else we got in news?
There's gonna be an Obi-Wan Kenobi spin-off movie. Yay, I guess. Are we happy?
Obi-Wan Kenobi is probably one of my favorite main Star Wars characters. Yes, he's up there. He is. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera here. Let's see where the. No, it's just out of reach up there.
The
Let's
cat,
see if I
you
move.
can see the cat.
Well, yes, you can see the cat for sure. But let's. I'm trying to see because it's behind you guys.
Yeah, but I don't know if
But
we're
I
gonna
don't-
get an angle to.
Yeah, I don't know.
get to
Anyways,
Yeah, sorry.
up on that shelf behind.
There's
Miles
an
and
Obi-Wan
Sarah,
there.
There is an Obi-Wan and there's an old Luke from Force Awakens. And he's one of my favorite ones. I loved Ewan McGregor, probably one of the best parts of the prequels, which, isn't really raising the bar very high, but, he was one of the best parts.
He is objectively good in those movies.
He is, and I really enjoyed him. And I would like to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie. I just feel like it could do better. And I eventually, I think we got Henry on next week, but I'd love to have a topic where we get you back, Miles, and where we get, Matt in on this because Matt loves Star Wars too.
Yeah.
Sarah hasn't seen the prequels yet, so maybe by then I can get her to watch the prequels.
Yeah, that should be a good fun.
Yeah. Although,
I'm super excited.
complete tangent. You've seen Spider-Man 3, yes?
Actually, no. The answer
You
to that
haven't?
question is no.
Damn it! I made Sarah watch the horrible parts of Spider-Man 3 out of context, where like Peter's at the jazz club.
Well, I've seen that.
and
I've seen that.
I made her watch the jazz club scene. And I made her watch the dancing that he does, completely out of context.
We're getting married.
And she still agreed. She's still on board with this, apparently. And like I'm giggling the entire context because it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyways, that aside, those are so great.
Oh, Ezra makes a good point though about dump month. Summer season starts early.
Yeah.
He's right. It's like
But again, like Suicide Squad came out in early August last year, and there was
That's- No.
nothing equivalent to that this year.
This month has
Like,
been pretty dead overall.
yeah, it's been pretty
Yeah,
good.
it was
I
a
will say I
weird-
wanted to see the Glass Castle, but that was a limited release.
and it'll show up probably at the Naro eventually.
I want to see the Deadpool Nick Fury crossover, but that's really about it as far as August releases go.
Oh,
Yeah,
the Hitman's
it's fine.
Bodyguard.
Yeah, I'm
That's
just
not
considering it.
Deadpool and Nick Fury.
That's just how I'm considering it in this movie.
I know,
said
that
no.
sounds like the way
what
I
did I
describe it.
see? I did go and see something, but now I completely and
I don't
utterly
think we've
forget
seen anything this month.
what I saw. This is profoundly strange.
No, we haven't
Spider-Man
seen anything this month.
Spider-Man
So I
last
saw
month,
Spider-Man.
Baby Driver.
I saw War for the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
Now I need to actually check because if
Wonder
I don't,
Woman,
no, obviously I saw
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it'll come up in box office here in a second.
Yeah, like I can't think of. Yeah, I mean, and Ezra's right. I mean, things came out this month and they tanked. I mean, they
I
just.
saw Dunkirk. Oh, Logan Lucky,
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
which is very good.
I did not do well.
It did not. It did very poorly.
All right, let's see what else came out. Let's see here. I just pulled up the list here.
So Dark Tower bombed.
Yeah, Dark Tower bombed. Detroit didn't.
It
really.
underperformed. I
Yeah.
would say.
Um,
Annabelle did well. It's doing well globally.
surprisingly well.
The first one did really well too, though. It's pretty
I
much
don't-
following in line
yeah,
with that.
but like
I wouldn't mind
comparatively speaking,
I wouldn't mind seeing Ingrid Goes West.
oh, I do want to see Ingrid Goes West. I knew there was a couple movies this month that I wanted to see, but they're in limited release. Ingrid
Yeah.
Goes West is one of them in the Glass.
Ingrid
Castle
Goes
one.
West was at Lynn Haven.
Okay.
I don't know if
Well,
it's still
I'm
there,
not
but it
going
is.
all the way out there. That's like
So
15
far.
minutes
It's like
away.
30.
It's like 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's
away.
actually like 30 minutes
Oh,
away, so it's
yeah.
even worse. Yeah, Hitman's Bodyguard and Logan Lucky,
like it's just Birth of the Dragon,
Yeah,
Leap, and
there's
all
a
that fun stuff.
Terminator 2. That's
But
another
like this weekend
re-release.
is Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Tulip Fever, which I encourage everybody to look up the release history of Tulip Fever, a movie that was produced in 2014, starring Alicia Vikander and Dane DeHaan. This movie has been almost released like 5 times. It is hilarious.
The movie's hilarious or the release history?
The release pattern is
Yeah.
hilarious. It's a very serious period
It-
drama.
We have a
The
dog,
dog.
ladies and gentlemen, who likes to
Go.
lay down.
It's really my fault.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
you
you
love her
spoiled
too
her.
much.
The Lion King did in fact release in theaters
Yeah.
at AMC for a bit. I didn't get to it, but
And I think they had a 4K release as well. So,
they did. Just came out on Blu-ray again.
yeah.
Came out of the vault.
Yes.
And
But yeah, Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan.
I mean,
I'd be okay
sure.
with seeing it, but I think there are other characters they need to explore. They did decent. They did really well with Rogue One, and those were mostly new characters and a story we didn't give a crap about.
So before we get too far into Star Wars, Miles, is Close Encounter re-released the director's cut?
It is, in fact, the 98 director's cut, yes.
Okay, there we go.
Your answer, my friend. So Obi-Wan. Yay,
think
nay.
so.
I don't know.
Someone said that on Facebook today. I'm going to trust that person because they're a film critic.
There's been a lot of like criticism saying like Star Wars fans deserve new characters.
Here's the thing. So part of I think the logic is that from a branding perspective, I think that they want to keep sort of investing the meaning in the original trilogy that serves them in their marketing goals and their merchandising goals and everything else. I think that's part of the point.
Hence
of this
Rogue
deal.
One.
Hence Rogue One, which is new, but it totally fits into that cycle. I think.
But I still maintain unnecessary.
Oh, completely unnecessary.
I think it's also very entertaining.
It is.
What I will say is that in terms of Obi-Wan, I think that would be a very rare opportunity in the fact that they could have Ewan McGregor play that role again.
That would be the main
Yeah,
thing. I would
that's
want to see
true.
him back
And
in
I think they have to, because that's really the only time that would make sense.
Have you watched any of the cartoons?
I know what you're thinking of. No,
Okay.
but I know.
But I mean, like, Obi-Wan had a really good run in Clone Wars, and they in Rebels, the most recent one, which takes place in between 3 and 4, it's getting a 4th season coming up. It's going to tie into Rogue One, apparently. But at the end of season 3, they had an Obi-Wan, spoilers, Darth Maul. You know, you haven't even
No,
seen
I
it.
don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Like, it's
care
not-
so little.
It's not even going to matter to you. Like, you're going to see things in prequel movies, and you'll be like, "That's what you're talking about," and you won't even remember that much.
I remember. Listen, you were watching the prequels one day. I don't know why. You just got a taste for it, and I wander in. Yeah, you were. I wander in, and there's Jar Jar, and I'm like, "What a freaking moron!" And you're like, "Yeah, that's why everybody hates him." And that was basically all I've seen of the
So
prequels.
you've really seen it then? Like that's all you need.
It was the stupid middle one.
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jar Jar was being Jar Jar, and I'm like, oh god.
And
That is
again,
in
I know it
fact
doesn't
the
narrow it down.
stupidest of the 3 movies.
Yeah, that's the,
Yeah, I guess it's. Yeah.
You know, I think I have. This is like a
I'm
total aside.
not even convinced it's the worst. I just think it's the
think
dumbest.
there is some sort of curse that was put on me at birth that makes me see like the worst part of some pop culture thing. Like, for example, I have seen one episode of X-Files, and it was freaking terrifying. And it was like the devil was in it, but it was like a woman, and I don't know, I was in 7th grade. And everybody I knew was like, you have to watch X-Files. It's a great show. You got to watch it. It's not that
Fine program.
Like, it's like scary, but not like scary.
Correct.
But of course, I watch
Yeah,
the
the
one
one, yeah.
episode that is effing terrifying, right?
Yep.
This is my life. I get the one piece that's awful. You know, like there's this restaurant in Atlanta that everybody loves. Flying Biscuit. It's the best. It's like Norfolk's Taste, you know, but in Atlanta. And there's Flying Biscuits all over the place, and their biscuits are amazing. And the one time I go, they screwed up the biscuits, and it was basically like a lump of dough in the middle. And I sat there at my table trying to figure out if this is how people eat them. And I'm thinking, like, wait a second, this is biscuit dough. Like, that somehow got baked on the outside, like the oven must have been set to 600 or something. I know, this is a really long aside. But yes, I'm cursed, and that is why I don't
It's a very
like...
long aside. It also made me really want biscuits.
Also, Vanessa hates either Star Wars prequels or X-Files or Handsome Biscuit. Or maybe all three. I don't know.
Handsome Biscuit? What did Handsome Biscuit?
Oh, no, not Handsome Biscuit.
Yeah,
Flying
you
Biscuit.
shut your
Handsome
mouth.
Biscuit is awesome. We love Handsome Biscuit. I
haven't been back because your whole gluten thing.
I know.
Have you so you haven't been to the new location then?
Well, we wanted to go last weekend, and that was the worst idea Keith ever had.
Yeah, that would have been a bad idea.
Yeah,
had
because
pretty
the
bad
students
ones,
were moving
so-
back
Yeah.
last weekend.
That was the
need
worst.
to- I
I'm
need
sure
to
I've had
go,
plenty
like-
of worse ones, like diving into off docks.
That was a bad
Yeah.
idea. Oh, okay, Vanessa, Flying Biscuit. Yeah, not great. Not great.
This is what happens.
And Ezra points out that there are a lot of terrifying X-Files episodes.
and it's still a great show.
It's a great show. And
Yeah.
you know, honestly, Stranger Things is I mean, I don't know. I hear the second season's way worse than the first one.
Of
For what?
For
Stranger
scary.
Things? Stranger Things?
Yeah, Stranger Things.
Oh.
For scary.
I didn't
Okay.
find the first season
I
scary.
don't either.
Okay, everything's scary to me. I had to Google the Demogorgon before I actually saw,
Oh, yeah.
so I would it wouldn't get the jump. You know, the
No.
jump scares.
The
are
benefit of horror in TV is that if I'm invested enough in the characters by the end of a season, I'm willing to like deal with the horror parts. Whereas horror films just give you horror right off the bat. So
See,
think if
I
can-
like Stranger Things enough because I was immersed into the whole 80s nostalgia part of it.
No.
I know, it's
There's
weird,
nothing
right?
in the room we're currently in that would give any indication of 80s nostalgia.
I
All
like
right.
Stranger Things
All
because
right,
it was filmed
mister.
at my former place of employment.
Yeah, that's all I heard during
I used to
watching
work
this.
there. I used to work there. I used to work there. I know that building, and it's true. I kind of wish. I know.
God.
It was-
Yeah.
They also filmed Vampire Diaries on that.
That's
same
good. Doesn't
property.
that drive you like everything films in Atlanta now? So
know.
You're kind of just
And they
it's
still
not
Yeah.
that special.
they still can't fix the roads. Okay, last news item. our favorite local comic shop, among many wonderful local comic shops here in the Hampton Roads area, is Local Heroes, and they are having a ladies' night on Thursday. So swing by Local Heroes, which is located on Colonial Avenue in Ghent.
It is.
Right next to Kogan's and down from Video Game Heaven and Cafe Stella, and pick up a ticket and go enjoy a totally awesome, non-threatening ladies' night in a comic book shop. I know you laugh at me, but let me tell you how weird it is to be a woman in a man's world.
Okay, that part I get, but you're talking about Local Heroes. That's why I giggled. It's Local Heroes.
Yeah, but Local Heroes is never threatening. And if
Can we go with intimidating?
Yes.
Right, because threatening makes it sound like someone's like on your shoulder.
Bunch of geeks holding knives
there
or
can
something.
be an intimidation factor to walking into an environment that is maybe traditionally male dominated.
I'm just saying that threatening but okay, there I have felt threatened and certainly intimidated in comic book shops, but never in Local Heroes, and they are catering especially to the amazing women who read, write, draw, and enjoy comic books in the local area.
Well, and you went to the last women's night, and apparently it was packed.
It was super packed.
And that's why they're doing tickets this time.
Yes, so swing by and pick up your ticket. I have a ticket.
You have 2 tickets.
I do, and I gave one to a friend, and we're both like, we want to go. And we do want to go, but it's also like a Thursday night, and we're kind of like lame.
It's a Thursday.
I know.
Yes.
It's not a Wednesday.
No, because that's new
Monday.
comics.
It's a Thursday.
I know. We really should. But I mean, it's going to be.
Just stop by.
It's going to be a blast.
Sibley and Jack. I mean, they're going to probably be curating the thing and having a good old time.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So anyway, that's our last thing. Go buy Local Heroes.
Exciting.
Well, there's one more news item you forgot. It's another local thing. Is that a local video store?
Oh, speaking of the wonderful community of Ghent.
Yes. Started a Kickstarter because they're a video store, and
because they're a video store. That's
literally it.
I don't know if you need to provide.
And how many more of those have you actually seen? Although I am glad other video stores have gone out of business because it has allowed us to get a taste where the old Blockbuster used to be in Ghent. Super stoked. Speaking of taste and video stores,
where is that?
It was a Blockbuster on 21st Street between Llewellyn and Colonial, and it was a mattress store, and now it's a Taste.
I know exactly what you mean. I got it now. Yeah, I got it now.
I'm so excited.
We can walk to that.
Yes, we can. I mean, we could walk this other one too, to be fair. But we're right in the middle of both of them. Either way, local Naro video. They started a Kickstarter yesterday to basically kind of help them survive the new wave of streaming, like we were talking earlier. Honestly,
well, I think what's interesting about the Kickstarter too, from that perspective, is that it's also specifically about being able to continue their mission in a different way. So the story basically is that they're actually not currently a for-profit business; they're a non-profit and operating accordingly. And this allows them to effectively search out other forms of funding. In terms of grants, and basically looking at the cultural impact of the content that they now have part of their archive. It's a library in a way.
And they've got the second largest library,
They have
don't
this huge collection
amazing.
of content.
It really is.
When I was moving here, some grad school colleagues of mine, film students, had been there, and I'd seen it on their social feeds on Instagram. And so I knew it was here, and I hadn't been when I had visited. And so I walked down the first couple of days I was here. I didn't have internet
Did you walk
yet.
right past it?
No.
Okay.
I did find it, but it took me a bit to figure out where the marquee was relative to the store. And just going in there is just okay, there's everything here.
Yeah.
Right? There's sort of everything you could need or look for. And so I think they're kind of trying to find a way to transition to a different business model. But the problem is that takes time and money. And when you haven't done that before...
And innovation.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, it's a growing period for them of trying to figure out this new role. And so I think Kickstarter is designed to help support them in that mission, to give them more freedom to explore the potential of what a video store is circa 2017.
What if they just took their entire storefront and just painted it red and had a touch screen and showed all the videos that they have on it, and people walk up to it and they touch the video they want, and someone runs in the back of the store, grab the video, and then push it out the storefront?
Well, I mean, sort of
would that work?
We'll build on that point where it's just when was the last time you went there and rented something? Do you not want to answer that question?
I don't have an answer for that question. I mean,
I've been in a few times, but I haven't rented anything for a while.
See, Keith Darrow's business model was, I used to go to Best Buy once a week and just buy new releases of stuff that I was interested in, or but
Let's
then
talk about
Netflix
why we had to renovate a closet.
also valid. That
Also
is,
true.
I
is
will say,
also
though-
full too.
Yeah.
I did
Now,
I built
listen,
it and I'm already out of space.
We
but
run into the time problem a lot, but for one of the worst gifts I ever bought Keith Darrow was a book called 1001 Movies You Have to See Before You Die.
best
And that
gift
is why I
ever.
have to see a lot of stupid movies I don't want to watch.
Okay, I'm sorry. You've seen Alien, Django Unchained, Cabin in the
Django
Woods.
Unchained, yes, and Cabin
Those
in
are
the Woods.
both good movies.
Those
Yeah,
are good
all
movies.
three of them are good
Yeah, I was
movies.
gonna
don't
say
care
I
about
can't deal
Alien.
with Alien, but that's
Yeah, I mean-
more me than it is some Alien.
I watched it.
Yeah, good,
It made
good for
me.
you.
Anyway, the deal is now if it's in the book, he's got to watch it.
Yeah.
And the only one I've won is Goodfellas, which is a great movie. One of my
It
favorites.
is. I just hadn't seen it in its entirety. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
But
one of those ones you
anyway-
catch in pieces like Godfather.
As
Well,
we start working through that book, we're going to wind up at Naro Video, and we're going to
Yeah,
need
100%. That
Yeah.
is going to
for sure.
happen.
'Cause
It's
it's-
figure that out.
It's basically from 1900
Yeah.
on.
You're not going to find that older stuff.
Oh,
On a
yeah.
streaming service,
Nowhere.
and you could maybe find a spot to rent it to buy, but why not use the opportunity to have
Right.
access to that?
Totally.
Well, I think
Because we go to, I mean, because for people who aren't aware, you know, like Vanessa or somebody who's not from this area, I mean, the Naro Video is part of, it's I guess its namesake. It's tied into the theater right next door, which shows limited released movies. They do festivals. They've started doing things because they're also having this problem of new technology. People aren't going to the theaters as much as we just discussed with the August slump. They are actually starting to reinvent themselves by partnering with local groups and showing The Big Lebowski or what was it, Boogie Nights,
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction, and they're starting to re-show some of the stuff. That
Oh,
you
they
can catch
did
in
a
the
Clueless night. That was a blast. Actually, Ezra
Yeah.
pointed out something that I was about to say too. Naro is great for rare, hard to find movies, and he said it was invaluable when he was taking classes at ODU. I was there at least 2 or 3 times a semester when I was in my last couple years of my undergrad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Oh,
mind? Can you
and
post
for-
the Kickstarter on the?
Yeah, I
Facebook
will.
page?
And
Okay.
for Vanessa and any of my Atlanta people joining, it's Videodrome. It's actually
I
better
have
than
no idea.
Videodrome.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
Well, I think it's sort of so that's the thing. Whereas, like for me, the first time I went, I got one of the discount cards, so I have a bunch of free rentals there. My problem is I do still see movies in theaters,
I love going to
Right?
theaters.
and so my issue is I see a lot of movies. Like I keep my ticket stubs. There's a
Yeah.
lot of them, and
Yeah,
so
you do a lot of ticket stubs.
most of what I do actually sort of go in and sort of spend time on our new releases,
Mhm.
and ultimately that's not what Naro's able to do. They have one copy of everything, and if that
Right.
copy is out, like I went down recently, I walked down, I'm like, I'm gonna see if I can rent things I missed in theaters that came out this spring, and I wanted to do that,
Mhm.
but then they didn't have the 2 movies that I was thinking of, and then I got home and they were 99 cents to stream on PlayStation Plus, and so it's like.
And how do you compete with that? I mean, can
and
you?
ultimately, look, I already paid for those rentals at Naro. They would technically be free for me right now.
Yeah.
Right? They got my like however much money I paid for that card, and I'm happy to support them. But I just don't. I don't have that instinct of I need to go watch an old movie right now.
So what? I mean, because this is your bread and butter, and,
Yeah.
and Ezra just mentioned his minor was film history, so
Yeah.
I know he's probably going to have some suggestions as well. How do you keep this business model going
I think certainly, obviously, I mean,
besides painting their storefront red?
I mean, the Coopers who own it have put a lot of their
a good
own
idea.
money and their own time and energy into it. And I think that's part of what you require: volunteer
Mhm.
labor, those types of things.
Totally.
But I think that you shouldn't have to rely on that. Ideally, there should be
What
some
this
type
show
of
relies on.
model. Yeah, I suppose, obviously. Wait, am I not getting paid for this? I'm not part of this deal,
we're
man.
not quite
There's
the cultural
food there. There's
phenomenon.
food around if you want the
But
food.
I think the nonprofit angle, I think, has a lot of potential in terms of understanding the cultural institutional factors of this and being able to extend that to the community. Because I think that's the biggest issue right now is that the people who want to go to a video store are always going to be those people. How do you get other people invested in that mission, in that opportunity, who don't know it's there, who don't
Right.
know the service it can provide to them? And I think community outreach is a way of sort of making that clearer, of kind of making that connection, of finding ways to partner with other local kind of possibilities, places like ODU, like classroom settings. I
and
certainly
Are you going to require any of your students to?
So I did actually. I'm trying something in one of my
Okay.
classes. I'm going to see and see if I can talk to Naro actually about it a little bit. I have some sort of grad students in one of my classes, and what I was going to give them is sort of like a project to practice writing for the public and doing other things. is going to Naro and finding TV shows that they have on DVD that you can't stream on any of the major sites.
Okay.
Oh.
And sort of kind of taking a look at like the importance of that show and to kind of point out how like the cultural significance of this object that you can't access if you just do so casually or passively through a streaming
Okay,
service.
I'm trying to think of shows, and I'm not familiar enough with the Hulu library, so I'm going to rely on you on this one. I'm trying to think, and like instinctively, I'm thinking like Taxi, I Love Lucy, Cheers. You know,
Cheers, I think it does exist on some streaming
is that
capacity
on?
somewhere.
No, they're about to get ready to get added on something, aren't they?
It might be. I don't know. But like I'm just saying like off the wall things, a one season show maybe that people missed out
Firefly.
on. Which like just finding examples in those cases, I think are real sort of potential markers to kind of look at and think about.
And see, Ezra brings up a good point. He said he thinks folks have to change their mindset when visiting the store, and the fun is walking into the store and not knowing. I mean, and that was the thing. It was always Friday night movie nights. You know, your parents take you to Blockbuster or Gene Walters. In my case, there was. But that's the thing that our culture has changed in the sense that we know what we want. We want it right now, and if we're not getting it right now, okay. Matt said Cheers is both on Hulu and Netflix.
Yeah.
All right, bad example. We know what we want. We want to see it right now, and it's so accessible to push a button, like you said. Boom, and I got it.
Well, it's an on-demand culture.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, I think sort of Ezra's point is good, is that like I love going into Naro. Like I will just go in and just look around and just see what's there.
Yeah.
And I might not even leave with something because that might not be the ultimate goal. But I think the idea of discovery is not something like when I talk to my students about how they use Netflix, they just click on stuff, and I'm like, you could also go to a store and pick it up and read the back of it and like have that experience of finding something.
Right.
It's just not something that is
I still do that with
ingrained in
music.
that.
Yeah,
That's-
that makes actually a really big difference. I mean, well, we have this whole closet full of DVDs, and I'm always like, can't you just like put them in a book and put the cases like literally anywhere else?
Thank you.
And Keith says,
Thank
no,
you.
the cases are art. So I just accept that this is my life now. But I have a really important question. Digital Spy posted an article in April of this year talking about shows that aren't streaming but should be. And I was using it so that I may contribute to this conversation.
Yep.
And this might not be true anymore because a lot of these aren't true anymore. But is Will and Grace streaming anywhere?
No.
I feel like it should
They
be.
need to because
There's
they're
a
coming out with a new-
problem with this. So the issue with these rights with these shows is, and this is so, The Simpsons wasn't streaming for a very long time. And the reason for that was because the syndication deals that they had made with broadcast syndication basically made it so that in order to go back and syndicate the show again, you had to go through all the financial deals all over again. And in the case of The Simpsons, the problem was the voice actors.
Oh,
Because
that
their
makes sense.
negotiations have been so strained over time. If they went to sell it to cable, to FXX eventually, and to streaming, also to FX in its Simpsons World format, they had to renegotiate all the financials to make that work. And that's a complicated process. In the case of Will and Grace, they made these broadcast syndication deals, right? So local stations, cable stations can air Will and Grace. You can find episodes of it on TV fairly often. Second, they do streaming. Suddenly, those cable syndication deals aren't as valuable because people can access it through other means.
Okay.
And all the
Makes sense.
actors who have a back end part of that deal are going to want to be like, well, what is our deal right now? And how much are we going to get from this sale? And
So
what
kind
are
of like the
fans
writers'
gonna
strike
get?
of 08, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Very
that's going
similar in
to
that
so
sense.
these shows are kind of caught in that bubble between when that was sort of a thing and when it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
The streaming deals are kind of a complex negotiation structure requiring
Okay.
a lot of different components. But
Makes sense,
NBC
though.
is reviving the show and no one can watch it in its entirety.
Yeah.
And yet they kind of are okay with that because the finale of that show went forward in the future and ruined it, and they're completely ignoring that finale. So they probably
Well,
don't want people to see it.
That's what they're doing with Roseanne, though, too, because
Yes.
Roseanne's doing
'Cause they killed
reboot
Dan
or
and they're
whatever.
not
Yeah, and
killing
apparently
Dan.
he's back. Apparently he faked his death or some nonsense.
Who
so
knows?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but okay.
Okay, yes. So in
My-
terms of the video store, like, so I have my students doing that just to in part sort of highlight the fact that there are things that are always going to be there that are not going to disappear. Because so much of what my students experience with these streaming platforms is like, I'm in the middle of watching Desperate Housewives and it disappears from Netflix.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Like, how
what happened to
often-
me in The Biggest Loser.
Yeah, exactly. We had that
I
experience.
had
started,
a
I
whole
started
s-
watching the cartoon, The Batman. It
Yep.
disappeared. Justice
And-
League also disappeared.
It happened to us with Bob's Burgers, but only a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
So-
we had that weird gap where the season was on Netflix, but then it took off the next season because the most current season was streaming. So then we missed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
but sort of the ultimate takeaway from that is that, these streaming services are inherently temporary based on licensing agreements. And there's nothing temporary about physical media unless it breaks.
Thank you.
Oh,
And
God.
so for that
I wish I had
reason-
more eyes to roll.
And so I
But,
think
all
there's
right.
something very sort of important about sort of understanding that relative to particularly thinking about TV history and any sort of form of history and understanding these details. I don't know if it's quite the case with everything that's going to be in that closet or my shelves that have DVDs on them, but I think in general,
It
Where,
doesn't
where else are
break
you going
or
to get
become
Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. on?
where else?
Where else am I going to be able to watch
Okay.
that on demand?
Okay, first of all, that was a weird thing that came up from our discussion that we still haven't gotten to.
We'll get
No.
there.
But
We're gonna get
unless it becomes broken or obsolete.
Yeah, it happens.
That does.
And to be honest with you, I think in terms of any video store is going to run into the natural problem of the fact that people are going to stop having Blu-ray players and DVD players.
Right.
And that's just sort of a natural part of media cycles in general. I think game consoles will keep those things alive for a little bit until they move away from disc media, which is probably in our future at some stage.
Well, even the Switches. I was surprised to open up the case and get a little cartridge.
Though Nintendo's always been weird about proprietary formats. The
Yeah.
Wii U doesn't function as a DVD player, which makes no sense.
That's
but
stupid.
it doesn't.
I know, that kind
They're
of-
just cutting costs and moving through that. It's just their way. It's what they
Yeah.
do.
They're very interesting. In
But
that,
like everything else sort of
regard.
works that way. But so I think as long as that's the case and people sort of have those options, there's always going to be that value, but just clearly in limit.
Well, and getting into the more so the Kickstarter part of this now. They kicked this off yesterday.
Yes.
They had their Facebook event. They
Yep.
even had a little thing at the store last night from 5 to 8. You know, people hanging out, that kind of thing. They needed $25,000, which is going to be the cost of operating, updating their library, trying to move forward in a way that'll keep people interested. They funded it within a day.
They did.
One day, and they are currently at $27,600 with 221 backers. And this is, everything from $5 up to
5,000, which again, I have such anxiety about that 5,000.
5,000.
you
Well, what
never
is
know.
5,000 here? 5,000 is the golden ticket. They will receive free rentals for infinity and beyond. So you can rent.
I just am so uncomfortable with everything about it.
Someone got it.
I know
It's
that's my point.
it's no longer available.
So I'm not uncomfortable with the reward itself. I'm uncomfortable with sort of having that $5,000 there, and that's just my experiences with knowing that Kickstarter pledges can go away. Right? You can
Yeah.
pledge
Yeah,
something to
you can
Kickstarter and
bail.
cancel it. And so if somebody did that, that's not serious. I hope they know who that is. I hope it's like someone like close to the store who wants the
Yeah.
opportunity to do that. I hope they've talked to them, because one thing that's not clear from the page to me, and I'd actually be very curious about, is if it's a non-profit, are these tax-deductible donations?
It's a valid point.
Like, some of them are you're buying merchandise, but if you're not, like, what does that function as? I'm very curious. I'm hoping
Right.
that $5,000 person is getting a tax receipt for that, because that
God,
might make
I'd hope
sense.
so.
That might make
Jeez.
sense for
Yeah.
why somebody would make that call if they are, like, interested in philanthropic, whatever, charitable causes. Sort
Well,
of.
and here's a big jump. They're 5,000. The next one up from that. Oh no. Okay, sorry.
It's gone. Yeah, there
Yeah,
are others.
yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, private screenings.
Sorry, the way it was
That's just,
said
it's all
250.
gone.
Yeah.
That's Derek Bort, who's actually directing a movie at ODU this fall.
Oh,
Working with our
nice.
department. Some of our students are going to
Okay.
be working behind the scenes. It's going to be a fun time.
Is this the same Tim? No, that's a different Tim. That's not Professor Tim.
No, that's-
Fredo knows.
No,
Is this
it is not.
Okay.
It is not.
So I invited my friend Alex that I used to work with at CNN because he is the undisputed master of desert island lists.
Okay.
If ever I need a movie recommendation, he will give me his top 10. Like if I say, Alex, I'm bummed
Well,
out.
see, I hate lists, so
Oh,
I would be the
he's
exact
the-
opposite of that.
see,
If
now-
you're like,
Well,
give
then-
me your top
then
10,
what's
I'm just like,
then
no.
Keith is the
our
master.
next point of this is that, like
Yes.
you know where we're going.
I know
so
where we're going with this. That's my point. Yeah.
So
Okay.
the point is, regardless of the merit of lists, the point is
Like lists
that
and
based on
spreadsheets.
our pop donation, get it together, Darrow. We the level of our donation was that we get a curated fan favorite
Yes.
shelf.
We donated $150 as a show.
As the show donated $150, and now we get the prestigious honor of selecting a fan favorite shelf of which we can put on DVDs. Now we don't know the size of the shelf, the number of DVDs that can go on it. And now this is your level too.
So I also have a shelf.
Right.
Correct.
So
Okay, so you did.
I did. Yes. Yeah,
So you've got to come up with your own list now.
correct. Yes.
yeah, so that you have a lot more because it's just you. Now ours will be
We'll help you out if you need it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
let
I'm
us know.
sure.
Ours will be us and Matt. And the problem here is that it can't be like one of my buddy Alex's Desert Island list because it's a whole other consideration. You have to add in the fact that the store needs to make money. You have to add in the fact that it's got to represent your personalities and that we're marketing our show.
Yeah, there's a branding function.
Yeah, there's
here.
a branding function. You've got to have a mix.
Yeah.
You've got
all of mine are like 80s
Yeah.
pop culture classics, and I'm like,
right. And
I got to figure out how to do this better.
We were talking about it yesterday.
When all the film nerds are going to judge you if they're too popular. Like you'd have one
Yeah.
obscure thing
Well,
in
You
there.
have to have one obscure, and you have to have
Well, and that-
a guilty
exactly,
pleasure,
yeah.
or a what do you call it? Not a guilty pleasure.
My really catchy term of show you won't admit to liking.
Show you want to like yes, it rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah, I do really like
So that is our
Hope the letters
big
don't
question of the evening: is what would you put on your shelf at a popular local video store? Oh, see, Vanessa comes right out of the gate with my favorite movies that I totally forgot to put on my list.
Oh,
That's the thing. There's always one you forget.
Yeah.
Like we got we did a version yesterday. We were talking both TV. We did a TV one and then we did a DVD one, like movie one. And we get home and no one had said Muppet Show. No one said Muppet
Yeah.
Show yesterday. We get home and we're like, how did we
I mean, I've got a list of top 10 movies that I can easily pull up on my phone that I have ready, because, we do this pop culture thing.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be. And two of them are posters right behind you. I don't
And
know if
he's
people
a
can see it,
list
but,
guy.
Yeah,
Blues
look at
Brothers, Ghostbusters, the first Ninja Turtles movie, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, That Thing You Do. Oh, geez, what am I missing? So hang on. I'm going to pull it up on my phone because I was prepared for
See,
this.
I didn't write mine down. Because I like- That's
Let's
the
see.
one.
Let's see what my list
Oh,
is
Vanessa
here.
says Batman Keaton.
It's good, but I don't know if it's top 10.
Now, see,
Back to the Future, Serenity, The Incredibles, and I have Avengers on here, but I feel like I could swap the Avengers out for something like a Wreck-It Ralph or something more obscure too.
like you feel like you've got to have a Disney movie, right?
Okay, so that's the thing where it's like it's a matter of how many things I'm working with, and I definitely wouldn't want it to be like a true like classic Disney. It would need to be something a little off the beaten path. So if I'm going Disney, for example, I'm going Emperor's New Groove all day.
Yes, this is why
Oh,
Miles
that's
and
a
I get
good
along.
one. Now, but see, then of course you have to consider. But if that's your shelf, our shelf,
Yeah.
would potentially have 3 Disney DVDs on it, and Keith would pick,
Emperor's New Groove or Lilo and Stitch.
right. Well, what about Wreck-It Ralph? See, now mine, I
See,
would.
to me, Wreck-It Ralph is newer.
It is
Yeah, and see,
newer.
And I feel
yeah,
like
and see,
people
it's
have
like-
seen it. It's accessible. in
Okay,
those forms.
that's a question then. What's the year cutoff on the shelf?
Well, what?
In other words, are you trying
Like
to
how new is too
expose
new?
people to-
Yes.
It honestly depends for me on like what kind of release it is in a new context. If it's something that was like really minor release that not that many people had seen that kind of didn't have a huge profile,
Robot and Frank.
sure, that would be an example of a film, right? Frank Langella, put that on there. You could probably make that work. Whereas I'm not going to put like a big new movie that came out that's like hugely
Spider-Man
popular.
Homecoming.
Yeah, like you're not going to make that choice. But at the same time, like I don't even know. Like I haven't put enough thought into it in the context where I knew we were doing this, so we talked through. But like I don't know if it's going to be my favorite movies. Right? If I have a certain month, it might be thematic. It might be an attempt to expose people to certain areas.
Yeah.
If I do,
It's true, because
TV
we do have a
shows-
whole month on this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if we change it per week? Well, they
So
get...
that's the thing. That's the thing. They have not. They
Can
have
we
not
like
been
come in
particularly
and
clear.
like
Yeah.
screw it all up?
Here's the thing, because it's also a matter too of like, do I get to put like a little explanation beside each one? Because some of
Yeah.
these are going to require context.
Yeah, well, you need to have like a whole bunch of like those little tags they have at Barnes and Noble, like staff
Yeah.
pick.
Yeah,
But,
or,
like-
or local heroes.
Yeah,
Okay,
they do have.
go.
the
Or
local
do you know what?
version.
Do you know what I would do? I would release like an audiobook that you would listen to while going through the shelf.
Like a museum.
That would be me,
I
like a
it.
museum.
You're-
So like you put it in, and it's just like welcome
can
to
make
my
it-
shelf.
We can make that happen in this recording equipment here. So
Yes.
you want to come
It's
over
true.
and record it.
Before
Once you
you
have your
encounter
list.
our one shelf.
Welcome
in
to the
this-
shelf. We're gonna move from left to right. The
Top
shelf-
to bottom in the
It-
classic American
It
way.
might seem like the shelf was in alphabetical order, but it's going to surprise you at the end.
What we really need is we just need to have staff. We just need to have a human being in front of the shelf at all times. So
Well, it's a nonprofit, so I mean, if you want to hang up there on the
Naro
weekends,
video,
go for
if
it.
you are watching these are the requirements for our shelf. We would like to have a full-time staffer that can be one of us. We will volunteer.
We'll give you flashcards, but by the second week, you better know it down pat.
We will stand there, and for the first week, we will train you on
docent.
proper
We need a docent for the shelf.
Right. We need proper navigation.
They must be wearing a sweater vest of
for
our choosing.
Shelf. Or a pop culture T-shirt.
Yes.
But only a certain
Or a
acceptable
pop culture
ones.
vest.
Yes,
Oh,
very
well,
well.
pop
Come
culture
on.
vest, that's
We can make
No,
this.
I've got it better. They got to wear one of those old-timey movie usher outfits.
red?
Yeah,
Oh,
the
with
red
the
vest
tassels,
and the
yeah.
white. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a well. So that's the thing where it's like, for me, it's like I want it to be simultaneously like understandable, like it's clearly communicating what it wants to do, but I want there to be some element of mystery behind it, like where someone comes to the shelf and doesn't immediately think, "Oh, that's that."
Because that's what my shelf would be. You
your
see
shelf
Blues
was-
Brothers, Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles. Oh, it's Keith's week.
Someone who hasn't seen you in a while could wander into that store and be like, I wonder how Keith Darrow's doing. You know? Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's the thing where it's like, I think the way it's put on the Kickstarter, if I have one issue with this Kickstarter, it's that they never mentioned that you could do TV for these things.
Well, and that was another thing we
And
brought
I'm
up
just
too.
That
ignoring
was
It's
like a
it
whole
for the
separate
record.
category.
And I think it's because, ultimately the people who create this and run the store are oftentimes, I think, very much film people. I think there's a certain sense that that's what the store is most providing, and that's very true.
Right.
But if I'm going to represent myself, I'm not going to just use movies.
Well, no, that's
There's the
very
truth
true. I
of it.
mean, because there have been TV shows that have been very influential to my taste, what I've enjoyed, my own characterization.
And things I
Firefly,
want
Arrested
people to
Development.
discover, right?
I mean, anyone who knows me knows I live my life in pop culture references and quotes. I mean, I'm always going to tie my life experiences to some sort of Arrested Development episode, or J. Walter Weatherman, or Firefly, that kind of stuff. And we were talking about that. It's like, and we when we did forget shows, I mean, like immediately off the top of my head, I went Firefly, How I Met Your Mother, 30 Rock. She mentioned Arrested Development, and I got back and I looked at the closet and I was like, shit, I forgot Get Smart. I forgot Muppet Show. I forgot Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Here's the thing, though. When you start bringing TV into the conversation, for everything other than Firefly that you just mentioned, you have to pick a season.
See, that's where I got, because I would say, like, that was the problem, too. We stopped.
You do.
Too soon, Miles.
No, you're right, though. You're right. But it was a whole thing. Like, we were walking around the neighborhood before the weather got bad last night. We were like, you know what? Let's just take a walk and enjoy the outside. And when we got into this conversation, and I said, you can't, like, okay, let's just pretend that you could put the entirety of the TV, like, of the show on
That
the
won't
shelf.
work.
Right? But it won't work because
Simpsons.
I started saying,
Kills your argument
like,
right there.
I started saying, like, well, okay, but Simpsons is sort of different because it's been on forever. So Simpsons is sort of, you're looking at the breadth of a lifetime when you look at the
You
Simpsons.
are.
But, like, take a show like Desperate Housewives would have been on my stop it with the face.
I know what you're going to say, which is that season 1 would be there and then everything else is like...
yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
But season 1 was...
Like season 1 or 4 of
So,
Dexter.
for example, I could honestly make a whole list of, like, you should not watch these entire shows, but you could watch this season. And I could populate a shelf of examples of really great seasons of TV shows that are otherwise kind of...
But, okay,
Blase.
imagine that. I kind of want that to be your shelf, Miles, because I go into the Naro, and out of, like, no context at all, I've got, like, South Park season 7, and Desperate Housewives season 1, and then, like, Simpsons season 6, and...
You throw any TNG on there?
Huh?
TNG?
Of course. And yes.
Well, I need to know which season.
Well, I don't know. I have to do some research. You have to remember, okay, so if it's something I saw as a kid, then I was coming at it through the context of my parents. So
To be fair, like, look, I was as big a Simpsons fan as you can imagine. I would still have to go back and look up the seasons to make sure I was
Yeah.
putting
Yeah.
the best possible. Like, I don't think on a regular basis, like, which Simpsons season I would put on.
Well, and as much as I love the Muppet Show, I don't
season
think I put
1 of Heroes, Ezra.
Oh, yeah.
See?
Season 1, then that would be it.
I
I mean,
mean-
season 2 you could probably throw up there.
No.
but- No?
No.
Why not season 2 of Heroes? I mean, the ending was
No.
rough because of the writer's strike, but, like,
No.
the only 2 seasons of Heroes I have is 1 and 2.
Yeah, and having season 2 of
Did
Heroes
you
is
make me
fine.
watch 2?
Yeah.
I
it
would
was when
just-
Hero went back to Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
one
would
was
just
better,
not
though.
put it on a shelf.
Oh, my God.
Okay, fair
Alex delivered.
What'd he say?
Oh, just look.
It's for some reason his isn't popping. Like all the other ones. See, Matt's saying Simpsons season
I
3.
knew Alex would deliver.
Hold on.
He's
Miles,
not-
if you don't know Alex, you should
I
know.
don't.
It's not popping up
He
on here
said-
because I guess I'm not friends with him or something for some reason.
Oh, I don't know. He
Maybe
said
he's
La Aventura, 1960, Mulholland Drive, The Thin Red Line,
Sure.
Alien, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
See,
but
even he
gave
said
me the-
Alien.
Well, that's just peachy for you too.
Although Matt has not seen Alien, but he's seen Aliens, which are both solid movies in my opinion. They're a little bit different, but they're both solid movies.
Before Sunrise, which I have mixed feelings about, but okay, I'll give it to you. The Battle of Algiers. I'm just reading the English version.
Yes.
Shadow of a Doubt, Hitchcock.
Did he put these on the Facebook page?
He did.
Okay.
He
I don't know
commented.
why it's not
Three
showing up
Colors.
on
Maybe
mine.
it's the settings. And he agrees with Vanessa, which is her iconic movie. And one of the things I love about Vanessa, when I think of her and movies, I always think of The Nightmare Before Christmas.
It's a solid movie.
Also,
Like Blues Brothers would always be on my shelf.
well, see, that's the thing, though. It's like when you have to pick a movie that defines your, like, your movie.
Yeah.
What's it gonna be?
It's going to be between Blues Brothers and it wouldn't even be Turtles. Oddly enough, it would be Ghostbusters or Blues Brothers.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like
that
one of
makes
those two
sense.
movies. I mean, that's why there's two posters right behind Miles. I don't have any Turtles posters in here. Although Who Framed Roger Rabbit's another solid
That was
one.
that was one that we forgot. We didn't.
No, I threw that. No, that was one of my top 10 movies.
Oh, well, I
that's
forgot
always
it.
it's always
But
going to be one of my top 10.
it's a great movie. It's always, I don't know. Mine would be The Princess Bride. But see,
See, that's for me. It'd be Blues Brothers, Ghostbusters, or Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Like I can't even narrow it down to one of those three.
I mean, but see, the more you slice and dice this stuff, the harder it gets.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, and then once you start doing like TV shows, then it becomes like so intensely personal because it's
Yeah.
not just about liking a show or the cultural significance of the show. It becomes what you were experiencing in your life when the show came on.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and
like,
that's my thing for Arrested Development.
yeah, that's your thing with the rest of that's my thing with The Office. When I
Yeah.
started watching The Office, I hadn't seen the first like 3 or 4 seasons, and I went through a really bad breakup, and I was all by myself and alone in Atlanta. And I swear The Office anchored me. It was during the writer's strike. There was nothing good on, and I just watched totally legal versions of The Office.
And so here's the thing, right? It's one of those cases where I think that we have that personal connection to something. Is there space on the shelf where you could explain that in some context? Like,
where
can
our
you go
docent
through?
comes
It's where our
in.
docent comes in. I know.
We're going to do this in shifts, aren't we, guys?
Yes, we
Like,
are. We're just
all
gonna
right.
have
I'm going
to-
to tell my boss I can't make every Thursday this month
That's
because
right,
I've got to man the shelf at the Naro video.
That's right. I am volunteering. So I will use
Well,
all
and
my
that's the thing
volunteer
where
hours
it's like,
to
you know-
stand next to my shelf.
Actually, I take dibs on Wednesdays. That way I can just run to local heroes, get my comics, and read while I'm waiting for people to show up and explain the shelf to them.
yes.
Yes, I feel so. It's one of those cases where it's sort of like, in a way, you could think, okay, the shelf could change every now and then, but it's a question of like, if we are willing to put in the labor of changing the shelf every week, can we do that?
I would.
Right?
I mean, I feel like we should
I mean,
at
that's the
least
thing.
discuss it.
Right? Because it's like, if we have control of this shelf, the
For a
process
whole
of
month.
the process of taking things off the shelves, putting them on, contextualizing them, I can understand if I was just forcing them to do that. Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah,
but
no,
if I'm willing to go in
Oh,
and
yeah.
just
Which
change
we
it
would
week
be.
by
Go
week,
through
which
and
all
go
of us
to
would
the
be.
library.
But see, that's the thing. Okay, and let's just, I'm going to say this now. I think if we do that, my vote for the pop shelf, I mean,
Yeah,
yours is your
I
own
have
thing.
my own thing.
2 weeks for movies, 2 weeks for TV shows.
So you're not going to mix them.
I don't know how we could.
See, I don't know though, but like,
But I don't want to I want to be able to I'm trying to
Then you
figure
have
out.
a diversity of things up there each week, so that
You
someone
do,
seeing
but-
the shelf could.
Yeah, and maybe you do have to mix them in. That way, it gives them time to watch it and return it.
But see, and also too, some of these
You're gonna have to
seasons-
pick a season. That's the thing.
I
You've
know,
got to pick a
but
season.
Some of these seasons are pulling right out of the middle, and they needed the first. You know, like you didn't make me watch season 1 of Parks and Rec, for example, but then you had to explain who the people were.
Luckily, but to be fair, in my defense on that one, Parks and Rec season 1 was 6 episodes. So
Matt says, "Do we have to work it now?" Yes.
yeah,
We
man.
all-
We're not.
we're
No, we're not even working. We're
No,
volunteering.
We're volunteering. We're not
Volunteer
getting paid.
docents.
We
That's-
we're all just going to stand there and explain the context of our shelf, which is very important.
This is what happens when you're not here, Matt, and you get sick and you have to stay home.
We have volunteered, all of us and all of our friends. Everybody who's listening to us right now has to go with us to the Naro and
I said
stand.
we
We're also
live
gonna-
I said we live broadcast from Naro Video on the
I think
weekends.
we should just have 24-hour.
We have-
Oh, okay. So Alex is explaining his list now. Super Rush, he probably do a different list. See, that's
Yeah.
the thing,
I see that
though.
showed up this time. I don't
There's
know why
a
I didn't.
million ways to slice and dice it. Now, I
100%.
knew Alex
and it's
would
going
have
to
a good
change.
list,
And it's going
though.
to change every day.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the thing. So it's sort of like, from my perspective, that's part of why part of me is like, I'm not trying to make a desert island list. I'm not trying to make a list of my favorite things. I'm trying to make a list of exposing
Thanks, Vanessa.
of exposing people to things, of creating sort of like, here's a starter for this. Here's a way to get into this.
Yeah.
Here's a way of sort of exploring, one. So if I could do weeks, right? Let's say I have
Yeah,
4 weeks to
4
work
weeks.
with. Let's
Right.
say for the
Let's
sake
do
of
it.
argument, right? It's like one I think would probably be biographical. Shows that were important to me, or films that were
Personal.
sort of
No,
part
I wouldn't
of
say
that.
biographical because I think it's kind of confusing. What are
For
you going to do,
me-
like John Adams and
For me,
biographies?
for me,
on-
what I mean by biographical is it would sort of tell my story
Yeah.
of relationship
So personal.
to media. Yeah,
Personal
so something
touches.
that was meaningful to me as a kid, as a teenager, college, sort of
right.
shows that I
Yes.
can sort of pinpoint. I could include things I've written about on the internet, right? Things that kind of work their way through. I think that would be a logical way of thinking through that. But like other weeks, I would want to be okay. 1 week for seasons of shows that stand out that people should just watch on their own. A week for one season shows.
Yeah.
Right, things that get canceled that didn't live on but are still worthwhile, and people should seek them
I feel like
out.
you could throw Hero season 1 on that one.
Yeah, like you could totally work with that
Just for as a-
for being sort of its moment. So like I feel like that would give me the ability to not try to choose between the different things,
Yeah.
and use it to sort of create meaning
Well,
going from
and I think for that and for the TV stuff is, I'd almost say like if I wanted to throw a TV series on there, if they were 3 seasons or less, I would probably throw the whole show up there. Like Arrested Development, I would throw the first 3 seasons up there.
To me, if we have a space for context, like a little card, you can just put one season on the shelf and tell them the rest are over there,
I'm okay with that.
right?
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
like
true.
the whole
okay,
point
so
is-
Naro Video
And
needs to
you-
get a hold of us.
And Narrow Video, we have some ideas for
Yes.
you.
We're gonna make this work. And
Yeah,
like,
no,
so
we're
I-
gonna make it work, and we're gonna be all about it.
So I had a whole conversation with this where it's like choosing a tier because it's like it took me a while to get to the ones that were more like something like
Yeah.
like stickers and T-shirts, and I'm like that's not
Mm-hmm.
really what I'm. But once I got to this, I'm just sort of just like, oh,
Well, see, and that's the thing. I
Yeah.
hadn't even gone all the way down.
Yeah.
I had gotten to like the $30 tier, and I was like, okay, cool. I'd like a narrow bag. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then Sarah was like, scroll all the way down. There's $150 we're donating for a shelf. I was like, all right, done.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
I basically told Matt and Keith, like, hey, give me cash. I'm doing this.
You're not going to get any argument out of me.
It
I mean, because
will.
none of us could do it on our own, to be fair. I mean,
No,
we're
we-
all,
yeah,
budgets
we-
are
I
kind of
mean,
tight
we're-
right now.
you know, we're working.
You know, we don't have the teacher money that Miles has.
That's true.
and-
He does have that baller teacher money. It's because education
Yeah.
is super valued.
so no,
So-
this is my I don't drink fund is what it is.
Oh,
Fair
that's a
enough.
valid point. Matt started drinking. I drink regularly. So yeah, we have no money. And that's Ezra brings a good point. Would you have? So what was your 4 weeks again?
So
Bi-
you had biographical.
So like telling my story through media.
Yeah, the seasons.
So like one season shows.
Okay.
One season of of a show that has more than one season that
Okay,
they should watch
I'm with
and
you.
signal out. But the fourth week, I don't know.
Okay, because see, Ezra brings up international movies are always a great way to introduce folks.
Here's
to
the thing. So
Here's the
Miles
thing.
got Miles got thoughts.
I think
Miles has a thing.
for me, international film wouldn't be something that I have a real connection to. In terms of international TV, I honestly don't know what they have access to. Right?
Oh,
Like I
that's
actually
true.
don't know how much of that they've brought in, and I'm sure there's some.
I
But
feel like,
like
the British stuff they should have.
British, that doesn't count. Honestly,
It's
certain
international,
degree-
isn't it?
I
I mean, I'm not saying like Doctor Who, but
In
you
the-
know,
in
like
the-
spaced.
So okay, yeah,
Stuff
that
like
would
that.
be an example of a show, and that could go in different context. Do I own Space? I think I own.
I feel like
Space.
you should own spaced.
I know I haven't gotten to it. But it's one of those cases where like yeah, there might be sort of shows like that, but oftentimes in a lot of cases, like if I watched that show, I probably found it on a streaming service. So I don't
Yeah.
know if the DVDs have maybe been distributed quite so much.
Okay.
But that'll be something to explore, right? Honestly, for the purposes of this, it might be an issue of just going through the video store where these
Right.
things exist and just going through the shelves and thinking, what is
Yeah.
here that I maybe didn't
And
expect?
that's a good point. How is this going to be curated? Is in the fact that all right, do we just get to go to the Naro and like all right, I want that one on my list. I want this one on my list. I mean, we just got to write it down and then
Maybe it's a matter of writing it down. Personally, I think my whole thing with this right now, yes, leave right now and go watch Spaced. I know, Matt. But the big issue for me is figuring out, I think, from my perspective, like, okay, what do they have access to? And am I personally willing to, for that month in time, give them my DVDs if they don't have something? Like,
Oh,
I would not.
that
here's
is
the
a
thing.
good question.
I-
Is there something that is so culturally significant to you that you will loan them your DVD?
I
if
don't.
it's
I
just
don't
for
know
a
if I
week,
can.
and like there'd be
I
part
don't
of
trust
me,
people, man.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Part of me does not trust people, but like one example for a one season show for me would be Clone High. So do you even know Clone High exists?
Oh yeah, I know Clone High.
So,
I
Clone
never saw
High-
it.
Clone. I thought you said colon high. I was like,
No.
what the hell's colon high?
So
Don't watch
Clone
that.
High, basically the story of a group of clones of famous figures in a high school. It was created by the people who were directing the Han Solo movie,
Okay.
Phil
Yeah,
Lord
Lord
and Chris Miller. Executive produced by Bill Lawrence. This show is amazing, and it was a big deal in Canada because it aired on a really prominent time slot, and it really did well. It failed on MTV, though. But this show is brilliant, and I reference it all the time, and it means a lot to me. And I want to hope they have it, just to keep that from being an issue. But if they didn't, part of me would be like, no, people need to know this is there. You can't stream it.
I just thought of one season TV show that would be on there for my pick. Studio 60. Studio 60, and I know one they're not going to have because I can't even get it on DVD, The Good Guys.
Well, they definitely don't have that on DVD.
No, they definitely don't.
I did have, before I moved from Madison, I did have a T-shirt of that show that was given to me I won an eBay auction from a TV critic that she was doing for charity. And she was shipping things to me, and she's like, "Do you want other crap I have sitting around that I don't need?" It was like one of those like postal service boxes that all ship for the same price no matter what.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And there was a Good Guys T-shirt in there.
It's just such an obscure TV show. Like it's not, I can't say obscure.
It was on Fox. I mean,
it wasn't even like groundbreaking or like innovative or anything like that. It was just fun watching
people
Colin
with
Hanks
mustaches
and Bradley Whitford act like an 80s washed up cop. It was just great. I'm trying to think, what would our weeks be? Okay, we've heard Miles's. What are Pops? I mean, I feel like we have 1 week. We got to have something that it's like all three of us. I mean, I'm grouping all three of us.
Our favorite movies,
like our classics. Yeah.
Okay, our
which would
favorite
include My
movies.
Blues Brothers, Ghostbusters,
Yeah, of course,
and that kind of stuff. Do we do TV shows that we really enjoy? Influential TV shows?
See,
Freaks and
yeah.
Geeks is another solid.
that's
show.
a what- that's a one-season show that
Alex
could
had a
easily
really
go
good point. He said Lost, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Cowboy Bebop, 6 Feet Under, Sports Night.
Sports Night is a fine
Sports
program.
Night, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah,
I
Sports
enjoyed
Night
that
was a
one.
Yeah, I don't.
It's tough. I mean, so you
Like,
could
I want to have a
also-
week just for
There's so
obscure
many
things
ways
that we
to-
like
there's,
too.
like,
Like,
I
I want to
could-
do like a Robot and
I could
Frank.
do a whole shelf on TV and movie shows that influence my career.
Yeah.
mean, that's like your entire life.
Yeah. A
Yeah.
little bit.
I think all of them influences
I
career.
mean, I could do, I could do a whole shelf of TV and movies that have influenced my novel that is yet unread and unpublished.
Yeah,
That's
so,
true.
I
That's the
mean,
thing. So that's one of those cases where it's like when I look at that sort of the logic of the sort of process from my perspective, this is making my persuasive case for weeks instead of months.
I think we needed weeks. There's no way we could do 1 month.
No. And so my logic from a labor perspective is that if I'm willing to do the labor,
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
I think that they should be open.
And they've got it in stock.
Yeah, as long as but like my whole thing with that would be also is if somebody's coming back in on a weekly basis, right? Which to me is what a video store you want, right? You come back in every week looking for something. I like the idea the shelf would be different. That if they watched one thing from the shelf, we're presuming a lot of people are going to watch these, and they are, I'm sure.
Obviously.
But if like somebody picked something up the first week, they're like, oh, I really like that. They could come back and they could know what was on the shelf the first week. I'll set up a web page. There'll be a link to it there. They can get to it to see what everything was there.
Right.
But then they could also go in and sort of check out what's there the next week, right? So it just kind of be revolving in its own way.
Well, once Matt gets popshow.com going for us, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. I mean, we got to put this.
Have yours there.
Yeah, we'll have.
certainly.
No, you can have yours there too.
True.
If you don't have a space to put
I mean,
it on,
I
you're
have
more
a
than
blog.
welcome to it. Yeah.
My blog is that's what my blog.
Okay,
is
what's
there
your
for.
blog?
My blog is cultural-learnings.com.
There we go.
It is now over 10 years old.
Wow.
Matt is not here, so I think we should make a garbage shelf.
A garbage shelf.
Matt's garbage shelf. And we'll put on it Pixels because it's his favorite movie. And
Just the
there are
garbage
no
bin.
guilty pleasures.
and Jack and Jill, which is another one
Can I
that
throw my Wild Hogs and Spider-Man 3 up there?
Wild Hog. No, this is Matt's garbage shelf.
Oh, okay.
And
your
it
own
has
garbage shelf.
yeah, okay. It's got the entire series of Secret Life of an American Teenager, which I watched.
The entire series, all the seasons.
Every single season. It takes up
You
a lot of
mean
space.
you mean the television show that kept Shailene Woodley hostage for multiple years after she was supposed to be a movie star?
Matt's garbage shelf. Hashtag Matt's garbage shelf. Okay, Matt's garbage shelf also has.
Okay, we can't make that a hashtag though,
Why?
because I don't like hashtags that are supposed to have apostrophes in them that don't.
Oh, that's
That's a
fair.
valid
That's a
point.
really good point. Okay, what else is on Matt's garbage shelf?
The Matt Garbage Shelf. We can hashtag
The
that.
Matt garbage shelf. Okay.
Garbage shelf day Matt.
Well, now you're getting ridiculous. All right. Other garbage things that go on Matt's garbage shelf. Basketball.
What's issues?
Let's see. Matt's garbage shelf also has. Here comes Honey Boo Boo.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The Spice Girls movie. And all right.
You really know Matt, don't you?
Yeah, no, I do. I know Matt really well.
This really is describing the person that I understand.
Yes.
Yeah, no. All right. I almost want to. I can't Google worst movies ever because if they're so bad they're good, it doesn't count. They have to be actually bad.
Sharknado 3 through 5.
Yeah, but not the first one.
No, I said
No.
3 through 5.
3 through 5. Sharknado 3 through 5.
He just got too commercial. It wasn't about the sharks anymore.
I know. I hate it when
Hashtag all sharks matter.
Keith. That Goldie Hawn. Oh.
Snatched?
Snatched. Yes.
The whole reason Sarah bought Hulu Prime or whatever it is, the Hulu commercial-free Hulu.
Because she was tired of seeing ads for
I was
snacks.
tired of seeing ads for Snatch, so that is why I paid for Hulu commercial free, which then of course benefited all the people who are totally legally and legitimately using my
No,
Hulu.
seriously. There's nothing against that.
Well, yeah, there's to a certain limit.
No.
Can we throw the rundown on there? 'Cause I feel like that's going to be one of my like obscure.
The Rundown's good.
I thought so
It's
too.
a good movie.
Thank you.
That is pre The Rock being a movie star, but it's a perfectly fine motion
And
picture.
it's got Christopher Walken and Stifler. What more do you
well
need in a
directed
movie?
by Peter Berg.
What
It's a good genre for him.
is Mamma Mia? But just the
Pierce
parts,
Brosnan.
just the parts where Pierce Brosnan singing. He doesn't get the rest of it. He
Are-
doesn't
are
get
you-
Meryl Streep's hard work.
Are you looking forward to the sequel to Mamma Mia?
They're doing a sequel.
They are. They just entered production recently.
I can't
But
tell if he's
no.
serious or if I should wait for a punchline.
No,
I believe it's called Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
Well, that makes sense.
You hate how much it makes sense,
No,
don't you?
I know.
This is actually happening, correct? Yes.
Well,
That movie made so much money worldwide. It's crazy.
I don't know how.
I mean,
you know.
because ABBA is great.
Also,
ABBA is great,
That's
but
the thing,
Pierce
that's why.
Brosnan isn't. That's the problem.
Okay, people watch Zambonis. I'm just saying.
Like,
Yeah, but
in-
would they go to an ice rink just to watch a Zamboni? They watch Zambonis because they're waiting for people to keep fighting again.
I would just like to observe. It's possible my father is listening. Members of my father's family 100% go somewhere just to watch Zambonis.
I would rather watch a
This
Zamboni
is a Canadian
than hockey.
thing, but like when I saw a Zamboni when I was traveling, I took a picture of it, knowing that I would post that picture to Facebook, and my father would comment on it. And sure enough, he did.
All right, Zamboni movie goes on Matt's garbage shelf.
All right.
Well, this got weird.
So basically, what we've decided based on this is ideally we have weeks
Yes.
to
Yes.
use the shelf as a
Okay.
revolving image
summation.
into our complex media selves. In your case, your complex media selves.
Right.
And that from that, we have to start a docent training program. Maybe go to Craigslist.
We need to record. Oh, sorry. I'm not used to this stand being here. We have to work on recording audio files that people can put on their iPods.
We
or
really should do
iPhones.
like a hologram, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's really
okay
the.
with
I
that.
mean, that's the only way to really solve
I
this.
thought you were going to go
And-
Tupac Shakur, but yeah, that one works too. Obi-Wan
Unless
Kenobi.
we're all gonna like take time off of work, which is of course probably the preferable way, so we can actually
A little
why not?
easier for me than it is for you.
or enlist
Is it though?
Disney
I mean,
technology.
I don't
well,
need to-
because
I don't
you
need
have
to be at
different
work during the
times,
day, yeah.
Yeah.
We can enlist that Disney technology with like the talking cars and stuff.
Animatronics?
Yeah.
Why don't we just record video? Matt has a camera.
Because I want it to
And
be
then anytime they
interactive.
walk
like,
by,
wouldn't you want to have a discussion with these people? It is after 10. What are we doing? We need to
We're having
go.
good discussion.
I
That's
know
what
we
we're
are
doing.
having really good discussion.
So what you're suggesting is that we live stream from the store.
yeah, anytime
And
someone
just
walks up, we
everybody
get a
walks by.
We get a notification. We get that new Amazon Echo Watch or what? Like what's the
Oh,
The
yeah,
video.
the
The
video?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
video.
You can
actually got
video
a new-
chat with
That's
them.
right.
Exactly. Anytime someone walks by, it brings up a little FaceTime thing on our phone. We'll be like, oh,
And it'll patch
hi.
into whoever's
How's
available.
it? Here, I'll do it on the camera because we actually got. Hi, I'm Keith. Welcome to Pop's curated shelf.
So we have to, like,
Can I help you with the
Shelf
selection
it.
today?
This week we have.
Yeah, so okay, Naro video. If you are listening, and if you are not, we will get in touch with you because we have ideas.
Yeah, we really
And
did. get in touch
yeah,
with them.
so obviously one of the Kickstarter like stretch goals. They said they're doing stretch goals,
Okay.
which I'm curious to see what those look like. Because look, at the end of the day, they're looking for $25,000, but they also have to pay to produce all those T-shirts and tote bags and
Right.
stickers. They also
Where are
have
they
the
at here?
Kickstarter fees that would come off,
Right.
in addition to the potential for backers potentially backing down. So
they've still got another full month. They've got 31 days to go,
that's
and
a lot
they're
of time.
$27,650.
I think the big issue for me looking at this, and this is the part of me that analyzes Kickstarters as part of academic work, 222 people is not a lot. Like, that is an average, in this case, of over $100 per person. And that's being skewed by the $5,000 and by the fact that some of their tiers are on the higher level are working.
But it shows how much of a local icon it is that this many people are throwing in.
The real future of it is about getting, like, thousands of people connected to the store in some way, right? To kind of get people who are sort of like, I'm curious about this. I'm looking to maybe get invested.
Yeah.
So I'm curious when they put out a stretch goal, they're hoping to expand the group of people because these are the people who are always going to give to this, right? Like, we were an easy mark, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
This matters to us. We're tied to a local community. We have an investment in the project at hand. What they need to do is use this as an opportunity to bring people into the store that wouldn't be there otherwise.
Yeah.
And provide them with something of value that might bring them in. I was surprised, we talked about this, that there weren't rentals available.
Yeah.
As one of these tiers, like 2 rentals for $5 or something, a little bit of a discount. Because to me, it's all habit forming.
Right.
Like, when you go into the store once, the chance of you going back and getting something else when you take the first thing back is pretty much the business model.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping we see some of that moving through. But in terms of stretch goals, they talked about building an online database you could search before you go in to know if they have something.
Or an app, maybe.
Or an app, different options. I think those are things they could obviously use as stretch goals in this case.
If I can use an app to order Subway before I get to the Subway, I feel like I should be able to use that for my video store.
And I understand why they wouldn't prioritize that in the midst of a scrapped environment, but they have the potential here to build something. They have people kind of donating, moving through. And then obviously after that, the priority should be either docents or hologram docent technology in order for the show.
Obviously.
That should obviously be the next stretch goal.
We actually know some programmers, the Midnight Status guys who started up Pixel Fest. I feel like we can get them on board with this.
Yeah.
And we can create this, make this work.
Oh, we could totally do an
Get Jeremy Henry on
interactive
board?
experience.
Yeah.
And then they go rent the movie and watch it.
We can make a popped video game just to curate our shelf
my
at the
God.
Naro video.
I think that this is a worthwhile venture, and we should
This is
ironically
100
kickstart it.
Yep.
Yes. So a Kickstarter for the ways in which we work for this Kickstarter.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Alex, your garbage shelf is just a normal person's shelf.
Okay, but look, let's get here. Okay,
But
so
that's Alex. I miss him.
No, some of these are good though. Fifth Element I really enjoy. Independence Day, great. Batman and Robin, okay, guilty pleasure.
Independence Day is not a great movie, but it's very entertaining.
I would actually prefer Mars Attacks over Independence Day personally, but that's just me.
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's almost too reputable for this list.
Mars
Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I find to be a very fun film.
I have not seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
It's silly.
I can take
but
or
it's
leave
good.
Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt either together or individually. So
I just love seeing them at that crucial point in their juncture in which they are in the midst of falling in love.
On screen and in real
Aw.
life.
And then it all fell apart.
Well, yeah,
It happens.
That's what it does.
I don't know. Underworld, I enjoyed the Underworld movie. The first one, that's about all I saw because then
never
they came
got
out with
to
like four more after that.
Those ones have
so-
the weird metatextual element of the director being married to Kate Beckinsale.
So kind of like
So when the camera is like framing her in a certain way, that's just how he looks at her.
isn't Spielberg married to Kate Blanchett?
No.
Who was she married to? Because she was in that Kingdom Skull, and I thought she was in that just because she had ties to someone who was
Go over. Spouse.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Andrew
Upton.
Upton.
Nope. Okay, never mind. I don't know what the hell I was thinking then.
No.
Because she was some weird. Anyways,
I mean,
forget
I
said
hated
that.
to just say no so quickly, but no.
No. Okay. Yep. All right.
You are
Forget
wrong.
it. Yep. It happens occasionally. So, Ezra, thank you for the comment. Appreciate it. I think we had a solid topic tonight.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
Naro,
we
video,
did.
and we all love movies. I mean, how can you not love movies
Yeah.
and TV shows? So it made the topic really easy.
Think
so
about your garbage shelf, people.
Yeah.
yeah.
Think about what you would put on Matt's garbage shelf. He's not here to defend his shelf, so we've got
Nope.
Matt's garbage shelf. And
Yeah. That is what you're thinking of.
Okay.
and
There we go.
we will
Thank you, Matt.
We will see you guys next week.
Well, we forgot to do Pop's Champagne.
Yeah, I'm ripping off NPR, so I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm ripping off NPR,
Is that just what's making you happy this week? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
so
yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore. I feel bad about it
I mean, like,
because I love NPR.
yeah, but I mean, like, so, like, I know Linda, so if I'm ripping that off, maybe I'm allowed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll give you some
Linda
license.
and I are Twitter
Yeah.
friends. Like I tweet at Linda. Oh, but okay. Now,
See,
Vanessa,
look,
okay,
Vanessa
started.
loves doing this
All
part.
right.
Don't take it from
Okay,
Vanessa.
why is our champagne popping this week? Tell us what you're celebrating. Miles, what are you celebrating?
It's the first week of class.
Hooray!
And honestly, that is exciting. It's always a fun first week just to kind of get to know new students and
Sure.
go through that. And it's also particularly exciting in the sense that I forget how tiring it is. When you all summer long, it's like you get in there and like for me, like the first day with my TV class, I go around and poll them about what they've been watching. And I just kind of like start bantering with them about like, how did you find that? Or what was this like? And I just like go through all of that. And like by the end of that class, my voice is shot.
Yeah.
And I forget what that's like. And by the end of the semester, I'll be old hat. But I like that sort of thrill of getting back in the classroom. So that's why my
Okay, because it's a new
champagne is-
class dynamic.
Yep.
New personalities.
Although I do have one classroom in which I'm in the same class I was in the spring with two of the same students who are going to sit in the same seats. So it's going to be a little bit deja vu-y, but for the most part,
I would do the
a
same
chance
thing.
to go from there. So that is why my champagne is popping this
That
week.
is
Not that I
awesome.
drink champagne, which I do not, but if it were,
If you did,
You did.
this is why I would be doing so.
that's why you're opening a bottle for us.
Yes.
Is it my turn or are you going?
I'll go.
Okay.
My champagne is popping because my social media group, the Hampton Roads Social Media Collective, is resuming events. I called them off over the summer because there's just no point. It's just hard to get people together over the summer. I don't think there's any lack of interest, but people are traveling and whatever. So our next one is a week from Thursday, September 7th, for free. Social media and the arts. It is at the Muse Writer Center at 7 p.m. And it's going to be a really great discussion. We're talking to Michael, who is the head of the Muse. He's the COO, CEO, all the CEOs that he could possibly be. Talking about writers. I've got my friend who runs the she does the Pechacucha speeches around here. She's going to present. We've got a local visual artist, a local filmmaker, a friend of the show, Ernie Smith, is going to be one of our panelists. And we're just going to have a really good discussion about how artists can use and leverage social media and the challenges they face. And I'm looking forward to it. These are always really great networking events.
Maybe the Naro video should show up.
The Naro video should show up. We have ideas. We have so many ideas.
I have one idea for them right now. Their Twitter account should not just be cross-posting from Facebook. Okay, I'm done.
Okay. That's pretty good rule.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what's making my champagne pop. Keith?
I'm gonna be greedy and take 3 because I can. Yeah,
It's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks.
It is.
Yeah,
So
it
I mean, I
has
feel
been
like I'm
2
owed a
weeks,
few.
Sure.
One, I'm thankful that we had all the engagement tonight. That was a lot of
We
fun.
did.
I always I like
Thanks
good.
for joining, friends.
Yeah,
See,
that was
isn't it
fun.
great when
I guess I
can
probably should have
type?
ended with that one. That way we could.
Yeah, that would have been a
that
great
should have been a
segue.
good
That
idea.
would have been a great segue,
would.
and you ruined it.
What's new? First one is that the other one is that Miles is back in class, and hopefully I can go play some Mario Chase in his class.
You can just pretend to be in my class that day, just sneak into the back, and I'll just be like, "Oh, I'll give it to this new student who just happened to
I'm
transfer in."
auditing. I'm gonna look like Steve Buscemi. What's up, kids? Holding a
fellow
skate,
kids?
yeah,
Fellow kids.
holding a
Music
skateboard.
band.
There is an HDMI hookup in that room, so it's 100% happening.
Okay, you give me the date. I'll be
Yeah.
there. And then more local stuff. ODU football. Starting
Yeah,
up.
that starts
Right.
this weekend. Hooray.
So-
I've not been to a game.
You should. Well, if you want to.
Yeah, I like it. I like the idea of it. I just haven't been yet.
Yeah, no, they're fun.
They're a good time.
And it's nice that we can walk. So that's also the
It
biggest
is.
key.
It is.
All right,
So-
guys, that wraps us up.
It does.
I
guess I
please
should-
continue to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/popshow. We share only the best and the most ridiculous of pop culture news. We're on
do.
Twitter at Pop Show. And we are here every week on Tuesday. Well, pretty much every week. We do take
More
the
or
occasional
less.
week off. But every week on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. to 10 here on Facebook Live until we figure out some other home. But that's where
Okay.
we are.
That is where we are.
And I am Sarah. That's Keith. And Miles is joining us tonight.
Yeah.
And
And
Matt,
thanks for joining us,
Matt
Miles.
is
No, thanks for having me.
and Matt is sick, so he gets the garbage shelf.
Yes.
And we will see you next week.
Yes, and for some reason music isn't playing, so we will catch you guys next week.
All right, hard out.
I get nothing. I can sing that thing you do again because it's stuck in my head now forever.
You're welcome. Later, guys. See you next week.